Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second day in the November series of the EMEA Path to Pro Contenders Trials Tournament. Yes, you're right, it's quite a mouthful, but honestly, the acronym for it is even worse. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and with me today is Thibble to help bring you the action. Thibble, how's it going, and what have we got to look forward to today?
Boy, is it going. As the saying often goes, I am thrilled to be here. I do not do much EU coverage, or EMEA coverage, I should say. I am mostly an NA guy. I'm coming at you live from the sunny shores of California, except I'm in the middle of California, so it's kind of a smoggy, hot mess, like usual.
I can sympathize with being a smoggy hot mess, honestly.
Sure, okay. But unlike Fresno, California, where I am currently at, these matches are not going to be a smoggy hot mess. They are going to be an exciting hot mess because we have some crazy teams coming in on our first, or my first day, I should say, but this first match especially. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the teams we've currently got loaded up into lobby. So the first match is going to be Shoes Money Crew, who are stalwarts of the Tier 2, Tier 2.5 scene, having been bumbling around in this division for a little while now. But the second team is a newcomer, and boy, what a newcomer of a team. This is New Kings. Yeah, playing with some ex-Overwatch League players, in fact.
Right. I mean, this roster, smurfing does not really do it justice, I think. I think this is a team that is literally here while they're doing their Overwatch League trials just to, like, have some fun.
Yeah.
And I love Shoes Money Crew. The original roster, my general manager, Albert Dicomodier, was on that roster. That said, despite my love for the team, I don't know how close they're really going to be able to make this against the likes of Elivode and Lolzish, or against the likes of Onigod, or AFox, or pretty much any name on this roster is insane. So looking at this matchup, it's we're in for one.
Yeah, it's a really difficult roster to be up against, and New Kings managed a very quick, very clean 3-0 victory over Caspian, formerly Speedrun, yesterday, and they're going to be looking to replicate that here, whereas Shoes Money Crew on their first day actually got reverse swept by Avoided, and an Avoided that is suddenly devoid of their star DPS player in Yezen, and are now trying to work around more Mei-centered compositions. So not an auspicious start for Shoes Money Crew. And on the second day of the tournament, you really want to start putting some points on the board. So it's a big old ask for them here today, Thibble.
Sure, but at the very least, we're starting on Control, that deliciously chaotic map type where anything can happen and the points don't matter, except they kind of do.
They do, they actually do.
Yeah, the metaphor kind of breaks down at that point. This is the chance, in my eyes, for Shoes Money Crew to come in and throw something wacky out there and really surprise New Kings. Of course, everyone on New Kings is no stranger to that sort of chaos because they've been playing Overwatch for years. But looking at these like Toonfist, Rein Zarya compositions coming out, I mean, there is a chance. The teleporter coming out just for some speed and then a swap to Reaper. But it looks like Kassar is actually staying on the sim.
Yeah, Kassar sticking with it. Early punch in, knocks Lolzish back and buys a bit of space for the rest of the team to surge in behind him. Lolzish now separates a little bit, giving up the 1v1 versus Hades for now. Immortality Field out early allows him to free swing into Hades, closes the distance, throws in the strike. Still not finding the kill, but forces them into the line of fire of Seiko, who makes a quick 1-for-1 trade. His life for Hades. But with the main tank down now for Shoes Money Crew, it is definitely an advantage for New Kings unless we can find a very quick clapback here from Shoes Money Crew. And that's going to be the clapback. Lolzish down. Elivode able to find visibility here as well, though, and it's becoming incredibly tradey. Ults coming in now from both sides, both the Photon Barrier and the Coalescence. Seiko and Offie to round out the fight here, as Hades is going to be the last to fall. A very costly fight for all concerned.
Right. I mean, super expensive, though there are plenty of ults coming online for both sides. I will say the one positive for Shoes Money Crew is that there was no early capture of the point. So that could have been 30-40% in this long extended fight, but New Kings were only able to cap right at the end, and they're just passing 15% now. So there's some time here for Shoes Money Crew. They need that time, though.
Lolzish in the position here to drop a big hammer, and it's a very big hammer. 3 on the ground. They're all caught inside the flux, and Kumba does not have the sound barrier there to help out. But that's going to be 3 ults now, committed by New Kings for only 1 pick. And Lolzish is having to walk backwards at a rate of knots hits the wall, and Hades knocks him for 6. Looking like we might see the cap here, just a little bit more damage required by Shoes Money Crew, and they should get the flip.
The recontest, though, the ult's being committed here. The Matrix is forcing them off the point, forcing them away from that capture. The Death Blossom, though, getting some good value here. And I think, there we go. That's it for Shoes Money Crew. The nice swap. Vigility has to run away as fast as he can. Expensive there for Shoes Money Crew, but they did manage to weather the storm of that Earth Shatter from Lulzish, which I desperately missed seeing. It's been so long. And now they've got their tank ultimates coming online, pretty close in terms of support ultimates, if not a little bit ahead, actually. This is not a bad position for them, kind of equalize percentages as New Kings look to get back on the point.
Ooh, early grab, no protective abilities there, and Lulzish squished into jam by the charge from Hades. And again, the main tank is down, means you don't want to be in that fight unless you absolutely have to be. Shoes Money Crew, press the advantage, take the space, and New Kings are going to have to wait to bounce back here. Lulzish is back with the team. They're going to be coming in with a Gravitic Flux. There's again no sound barrier here. It's going to be down to Sab to try and keep people up here with the Coalescence. Anybody's going to stand now behind the Amplification Matrix and look to just rain in the damage from afar. Seiko gets in and finds Hades. And we've actually seen both tank ults committed now by Shoes Money Crew into a lost fight here. They've got more control on the board, but New Kings rapidly going to be beating that target.
Right, so New Kings kind of flubbed on their first attempt at that initiation, Aafox missing his immortality field into that Graviton from Naru. However, just a quick back up and a quick move back forward, and they're in there like swimwear. Now they get to hold passing 60% with 3 ultimates online, whereas Shoes Money Crew, all they've got is the Sound Barrier and the Meteor Strike. They're going to have to be smart about their usage, if not holding it to get
there's the shatter. Onto the backs, nothing actually out of the Meteor Strike, and the DPS from Shoes Money Crew start to get the upper hand here, but it's again too little too late. They might have got a couple of picks, but now New Kings could afford to kite away from this and have this fight at the point with a full team.
Right, just a quick back up. They do have a slight spawn advantage getting into the recontest again, and they did pull out a couple ultimates too, so slightly better position now for Shoes Money Crew, but is it enough?
Flux comes through. This time Kumba actually has the barrier there to make that work around that ultimate. Kassar able to find one on that one, and Vigility now coming in on the Doomfist with the Immortality, well, with the Meteor Strike into the Immortality field means nothing out of that one, but able to relocate people outside of that one and allow Feast to get in and do the last little bit of the heavy lifting. It's 99 to 56 now. New Kings only need to win one more fight, but we're in this position now where Shoes Money Crew have the ults in their favor.
Right, they need to make these tank ults last and build up their DPS ultimates as quick as possible, as well as the Coalescence from Sab, because Coomber's Sound Barrier is not going to be there anytime soon. It's not too bad in terms of positioning here, but it is last fight territory, so they must be perfect for this next 30%, otherwise Control Center is out.
Lulzish again closing in and having another shatter. Good to see another one of those on the board. Of course, he's walking into Hades here, and he's now down and out. This is almost certainly a free fight win here for Shoes Money Crew. Nice big old squish from Hades onto Seiko, and now it's last fight territory, with the ball very firmly in Shoes Money Crew's court.
And they're getting these like staggered chases onto Aafox and getting that shatter onto Seiko, which is more of a statement than anything, I think. But hey, you take those as a Reinhardt player. Vigility has been the person to help turn this around. He is so key. He is everywhere in these fights.
Grab it on the surge, out, and there's nothing that shield can do for Lulzish to stop the damage coming through from the Coalescence. Takes him out of the fight entirely. Shoes Money Crew with a big numbers advantage here, and whilst there is a little bit of a chance to keep this contest going, there's just too many Shoes Money Crew players and not enough New Kings players. We are going to see the first point certainly going over to Shoes Money Crew.
I mean, like I said, this is Shoes Money Crew's chance. They need to come out with something crazy right away, and not like this composition is like a pirate ship or anything legitimately crazy, but I think them starting on the Reaper, New Kings trying out the Symmetra for that first fight kind of set them back a little bit, which they weren't ever really able to recover from. Shoes Money Crew making good use of their ultimates, Naru with like Gravitons on cooldown, Coombra getting good value out of the sound barriers as well. And Vigility, like I said, just being absolutely everywhere, just raining terror wherever he goes. He is one of the best DPS players, I would say, frankly, in the world right now. And he is the boon that Shoes Money Crew needs to take advantage of as we look at Gardens, which is showing us some different looks here. Some Wrecking Ball, some Echo, some Tracer. I'm a fan of this from New Kings.
And I kind of like Visibility starting out here on the Sombra. It gives them a lot of counterplay options, particularly for Hades and for Narrow. I think we didn't quite see the hack connect there. And it's going to be Seiko with the first pick, Kassar with the second, and almost certainly on the back of that dynamic movement out of the gate, that's going to be New Kings with an early cap. And at this point, they can just afford to, let's chase down a bit of ult percentage while we're at it.
Right, yeah. I mean, go for the staggers, nip at their heels. That initial hack not going off was so key because the whole point of a Sombra dive is to target whoever got hacked. And if you can't get that done, then Seiko's going to swoop in, and now he's got 55% ultimate charge. So another chance for Shoes, but I don't know if I want to see them stick on this too much if they're struggling. There are a lot of options they could swap to, and Visibility currently is kind of getting caught out. So think hard about how you want to stick to this.
You cannot afford to let that happen to you, getting caught out as a Sombra by the Tracer. Force-bomb's going to go in, won't find much, but there's a 1-for-1 trade coming through. He's able to find Joffy here, but the numbers already favor New Kings as Kassar makes the rotation into the back. Has a line on a support. I don't think Sab currently has the Fade. Now the Fade is definitely down, and he whacks him down in the middle of the ultimate. So unfortunate there for Sab. Self-destruct comes through from Seiko. They won't get anything with that one, but will get a second go at that. There's the second self-destruct, and it's just buying so much space here, Dibble.
That is like the most powerful stalling ultimate in the game. A duplicated Echo getting multiple self-destructs on the point. You cannot contest. You will die. And it was a great re-engage from Shoes Money Crew. They looked like they were going to get onto point and cap it. But that ultimate alone, as well as some good plays from Joffy, I think. Oh no, is he going to live? I think he's out. He's out.
Oh, he got it. He actually made it back. He drops the minefields on, almost overcooks that one, gets back in, and finds the pick onto Sab. And SMC have put so much resource into capping this, and New Kings are just rolling with the punches. They're finding the picks. They're getting the ults online. There's the D-Mech onto Naru. There's the kill onto Naru. Kassar finds Kumba, and they're still in control. And this has looked so clean from New Kings.
Imagine Lulzish with a visa, having played in the Overwatch League for a year. Could you imagine the things he could have done? The things he's doing now, even after all that time spent wondering how the heck he's even going to get over to America, he's still pulling off plays like that. New Kings are showing why they are elite. Shoes Money Crew, even with these little advantages they're pulling now, I don't know if it's not going to be enough. Wow. They're going to lose this round.
Well, even the EMP with the self-destruct was not enough there to tone, despite we get a quick 2-punch in there from New Kings, and the sound barrier from Hoppy, who did survive that one, is going to enable his team to keep in this fight that little bit longer. Kassar's able to find Sab, and Elivote dives into the back with the duplicated Diva from Seiko as well to take Naru out of the fight. Lulzish gets his opposite number, and now it's spin to win time for Lulzish. Kumba down, and we're going to go see a third map here on Lijiang.
This Lulzish guy, he's pretty good. This guy is pretty good at the game. I wonder if, he sure does play that video game. I would love to see an Overwatch League sign him and actually get to use him, because I mean, it's unfair, frankly, for all these Contenders players that Lulzish and Elivote are still bumping around in Tier 2. And that's been true since the GOATS era, frankly, which was a long time ago in esports years, but it is still very true today.
And we should really be having this conversation about Visibility as well, who
absolutely
after World Cup 2019, everyone was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, let's have a look at Leaf, let's have a look at Visibility," and then it just never happened for the guy. I really hope he's going to get his shot at some point soon.
I feel like a couple more teams this year are swapping to Western rosters, and it's going to give players like this their chance, because so many teams I think went for a Korean mixed roster last season or swapped to full Korean like the Mayhem, but this year I think a lot of teams are swapping back in that direction, probably because it's a little cheaper and COVID and budget and blah, blah, blah business. But in any case, Visibility now swapping over to the Echo. We're going to have some airborne duels here on Night Market, and I think that could be pretty interesting. This is SMC's last chance for map 1.
Ooh, Lulzish with an early pick will get stunned, but the adaptive shields are there in spades to help them survive through that one. And I mean, what can you say about this team fight? It is all New Kings in the kill feed right now. Shoes Mini Crew looking to run the mirror, but looking a little rough on it so far.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit, I think, for them to get back into that groove of this sort of composition, especially swapping to the Brigitte and Zen. It's so different than running a Lucio Moira or anything like that. Especially with Seiko, who's playing lights out. We're talking about Visibility, but we can't ignore them because Seiko is just flying circles around Shoes Money Crew right now. Of course, Visibility heard me and now is about to light it up.
Yeah, wanted in on that particular conversation, and now both the DPS have been taken off the table for New Kings, and their ability to get things done here suddenly substantially decreased. We'll see Fees over on the Tracer, a hero I've seen him play quite a lot here, very well established as a Tracer player, was a hit scan generalist, in fact. But SMC, they've got advantages, and they need to start pressing them, because right now, they are just giving over ult charge they can't afford to give over. Vigility's going to get the better of Seiko here, but now Naru is on the point and trying to stall this out. But again, it's just been a little bit too slow here from Shu's Money Crew, and they've given time for New Kings to get the ults and to maintain their death grip on the point.
Right. With teams at this level, it's not enough to get a pick or two in the fight. You also have to control the objective and control the space properly. Without that, you're leaving openings, like you said, for New Kings to reestablish ultimate control, to reestablish point control. A man down or not, they will still do that. They will still maximize their value. And at this level, that just wins you fights right out. Even if you lose someone early in the fight, or two people early in the fight, you can still bring it back, especially in this chaotic, kind of long fight, super mobile meta. So Shu's Money Crew must be more decisive and quicker in their engagements and in their advantages.
It's a nice wide minefield out from Hades. It looks like it's not going to do too much to split the fight here particularly. And now Shu's Money Crew have to press in on the back of that persistent rally armor from Joffy. The opposite number, but Shu's Money Crew able to find a quick double on that one, and Seiko taken out of the duplicate. Fees receives the stun and the whip, and he's back out of that one. Vigility with the burn down onto A Fox, who was not quite close enough to have that Transcendence online and ready to go. Honestly, if you're New Kings here, you probably don't mind giving this one up. You're coming up on some... Oh, there's no cap from Shu's Money Crew. This is really unfortunate. I felt they were so close to winning that fight, just lacking a little bit of persistence on the point.
Certainly lacking the ability to get back onto the point in time, unfortunately. It looked like they were bringing around, kind of coming back. They had some good engagements going there. The Wrecking Ball tech I was going to talk about from Hades was actually quite good. Just kind of darting around the point, doing what damage you could, focusing down people when you were able. Getting A Fox down, that little combo from Vigility was gorgeous. I just don't think he had the cooldowns to make it back to point on time. He was headed that way. I just don't think he did it. So close. I think for Shu's Money Crew, you don't beat yourself up too much about that one. Like, New Kings are really just that good, but you're still playing them close, so it's fine. You still have the chance to bring this back.
Yeah, it's not like you've just lost to an open division team on your first map. It's ex-Overwatch League talent, it's ex-British Hurricane talent, young and beautiful. You know, pretty much any big EU T2 Tier 2 name you want to name has some kind of representation on this team from some point in time. So yeah, no shame in that Shu's Money Crew. Plenty of time to bounce back, because it was not one-sided. We went to that third map. We did see some capture progress on, I think, all three map sets. So a lot to be happy with and a lot to still capitalize on. With that being said, Dibble, we have got our next map locked in, loaded, and ready to go, and we're moving over to Rialto for our payload map tonight.
Not a surprising pick in my mind. Rialto is a very popular map amongst the competitive community. People like playing this map. They feel it has great opportunities for a lot of power picks, some airborne stuff like Echo and Farah, as well as some good sniper lines as well. So you could see some Widowmaker here or something like that. Maybe Fees wants to pull something out, more of his hit scan pool. Tracer also just works here too. You could even see heroes like Doomfist and Genji again. It's a very open map in terms of DPS flexibility, which I think is going to be Shu's Money Crew's greatest strength, strictly off of the strength of Vigility. But at the same time, they're going to have to keep an eye on Psycho too, who has been lights out so far. Also while managing to deal with the front line and the back line and not getting dropped in the river by a Wrecking Ball and all that other stuff. There's a lot of things going on Rialto, but it makes for some great games.
It does, but one thing that we actually didn't get a chance to touch on, so we've spoken about Lolsish and Elivo on New Kings and the fact that they were at one point both signed to Washington Justice. There is another ex-Overwatch League player on this team who we actually haven't seen subbed in today, which is Onigod. Onigod is a DPS player for this roster. We don't know exactly why he's not in at the minute, if he's being saved for specific maps, or I don't know, maybe he's got better things to be doing with his evening, although I struggle to think of what those might be. But like, this is it's a powerful roster and it's a deep roster, I think is the thing that's going to be scary for opponents here.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of options. Onigod could, have a bit of a sniffle.
Yeah.
Maybe just figures he doesn't need to play. We could go full eyes emoji. Maybe he's been signed to a team already.
Maybe
Wow. That's it. We'll never see him on this roster again because he's secretly been signed to insert roster here. We don't know. And don't ask me just because I work for the Overwatch League.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful, Thibault, because of what you do for a living. Like anything even slightly hinting at that is going to sound a little bit leaky, a little bit ice emoji.
I will say my life is full of asterisks, and my constant disclaimer is that even though I work in the Overwatch League, they don't tell me anything. They know. I was a journalist. No one actually trusts me, and that is very smart, I think. Don't give me that information because you never know when I'm just going to vomit out of my mouth.
You heard it here first, folks.
I promise I don't know. I don't actually know anything about Onigod. I'm not implying that I know.
You see, now you sound to me like you think you've said too much and you've got to walk it back heavily. So all you've done is muddy the situation here, Thibault.
I'm really looking forward to the Reddit thread on this. Let's put it that way. I'm sure it's going to be full of insightful commentary about how much stuff I know. Really, guys, I'm an idiot. They don't trust me with everything.
Speaking of insightful commentary, Seiko going to be picking up the Soldier here. So a little bit different from what we saw in the previous round, coming over onto the hit scan rather than the flex DPS role. Initial poke on the high ground here, just to try and build a little bit of ult charge. The real stall is going to be down on the low ground at this square here where you control the space.
And I like the swap from Naru onto the Sigma and Cooper onto the Brigida as well, protecting from sightlines. Of course, not enough apparently. Psycho is still getting work onto Sab, but Fee's also getting some work in turn.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade, and we're at about the halfway point here, so the respawns kind of favor both teams equally, but Aafox is able to find Kumba. So potential here for a little bit of a rollback now from New Kings. Naru's going to go down as well. Elivote taking a bit of flack, but has the kinetic grasp, gets the additional healing, and that's going to be the hold. And this is exactly what you're looking for here for New Kings. You don't care about the high ground. You want the square.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so interested to watch Psycho on this Soldier. It's been a hero that the competitive community has always really enjoyed playing. He's just never been in a good spot. But the changes to his damage and recoil mechanics have made him a viable pick again. And I'm really interested to see what he can do with it, because mechanical players will run riot with him.
Ooh, Visibility receives the shield bash, but gets the deflect onto the Helix, and Seiko's going to go down. It's the 5v6, and Visibility is clawing their way up to having that blade ready to go. And that's the second stun in the space of about 20 seconds for Visibility. And this is big. The trance is out from Aafox. There is nothing now to counteract this blade as and when it comes out, but they might not need it. Joffy's down, and New Kings are on the back foot, and they're starting to retreat. They want this recontest. They are going to commit the gravitic flux here from Naru. We'll find one as Aafox and Elivote are now both down. Naru closes the distance. There is still some stall going on over by the cart, but this is a great buy of space here from New Kings.
Right, but Shoes Money Crew, remember what I said on Lijiang. They must capitalize to the fullest extent, or they will be taking advantage of New Kings already getting back on the recontest and ulting.
Yeah, Seiko with tactical visor, bit of a mind-sweeping operation on that one. Doesn't find too much, but again buys space here for New Kings, and Elivote time to get the gravitic flux, defy the laws of gravity, find the kills, and it's a little bit too little, too late from Visibility as the Dragon Blade comes out, only finds one and can't guarantee them the team fight.
It's so crazy, right? Shoes Money Crew looked like they had that in the bag, that they had the first point. And New Kings, just refused to give up. They say, yeah, we'll recontest that. Let's pop visor, clear the minefield, walk in, flux, do the thing, get it done. They didn't even have to worry about the blade. They didn't even have to worry about using that Transcendence a little too early for my tastes. They still managed to pull it out because they're just that good. This is a damn good team, and this is a fantastic game so far from them.
Some early Tracer 1v1 on the front lines here, and it's a quick 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, count them 4 from New Kings, and Shoes Money Crew now down below the minute marker and not quite having capped A, and they don't really have much to play with ult-wise.
No, and it's all they can do to get away alive for Hades. At least he's providing some support ult charge. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But plenty of DPS ult charge on the other side. Kassar has the pulse bomb. Seiko's halfway to the visor again. And of course, Elevote is just running rampant here on the Sigma because that's what he does.
This has been a nice dive coming through from Shoes Money Crew, but they can't find the pick. And Fees is going to go. Minefield comes through from Hades, locks up the stairs. But hey, look, there's a nice big open balcony over there for Seiko to get down from. Doesn't really care too much about whether or not the stairs are blocked up for now. Kassar finds Facility. There's the Gravitic Flux from Naru. Yes, there's a bit of a stall going on the point, but it is just Hades all by his Rodental Loathsome. And it's not going to be enough. No point A cap here for Shoes Money Crew.
Yeah, I feel that minefield in the stairwell was maybe a bit of a tilt. Maybe like, you guys are just leave me alone, and then he just presses minefield and runs away. Like you said, though, did not get much done. They kind of said, okay, we'll just go out this door instead, and they did. And that was just as clean a hold as you could ever ask for New Kings. That great recontest right at the first checkpoint, backing the cart all the way up around that corner again. Just completely oppressive. The Brigida, it was doing such good work on keeping Hades honest and keeping the DPS honest as well. You come in with a Genji and a Tracer. Right, yeah. A Genji and a Tracer are not going to get much done against a Brigida, and even against a soldier who is maintaining that high ground control, and a Zen that constantly has you discorded. Your flankers melt. And Fees and Facility, it was all they could do to even get a swing in before dying. And so if I'm Shoes Money Crew now, I almost say go for something cheesy. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're, gonna go out with some dignity here. But I think like a Bastion or something fun would be my way. But of course, I'm in plat, so what do I really know?
Basically nothing.
Thanks. Yes, that is true.
No problem. But look, I want to look at this comp, and if you were to, I don't know, let's go back a year and say, hey guys, this is going to be like a viable meta composition. Tracer Soldier, Wrecking Ball Sigma, Zen Brig, I think you'd have been laughed out of the room. Overwatch has moved quite a lot in the past year.
Oh yeah, I mean the meta is just constantly changing. Some heroes are terrible and then amazing in overnight. Soldier comes to mind, not that he's like a must pick, but now he's good after being trash for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like that really changes up the game. But the good teams will always find a way to adapt and make those pieces work for them. So many different combinations, so many deep hero pools here. It makes for some interesting clown fiestas, but also some fantastic games.
Man, I love this approach from New Kings. Rather than just trying to roll the payload in underneath Shoes Money Crew, they're taking the fight right to them, and that is a very quick, very devastating collapse by the New Kings. As we see both supports and now a tank and a DPS taken out. There's going to be one good fight here for Shoes Money Crew, and they've got to get to it fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be all they can.
Oh,
Hades
no.
It's going to be all they can do to just get 5 people towards the point. Lulzish is just playing like Amang and just bouncing around everywhere, getting all these flanks and wacky anchor spots. I mean, Kassar could just jump in over there and farm pulse bomb. AFOX could get a pick right now. It's so wide open. They
keeping Facility honest, and that's it. Into the back, Facility down. It's the 5v6. Kassar gets one in the back line. Now able to team up with Elevote and take out Sab. There's the Sigma Rock down by Aphex. Will actually throw in the mine, but that is it. No contest from Shoes Money Crew at the last point for the second map in a row, and New Kings take us on to match point.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Shoes Money Crew, I'm maybe getting a little frustrated now because the first, like, Lijiang was pretty close, right? No shame in losing that one. We're warming up. Let's get this going on the next map. New Kings had that downloaded so hard. There was never a chance. There was never a doubt for them. So now getting on to match point, you have to wonder, like, are Shoes Money Crew going to try to adapt? Are they really just feeling like they're getting outclassed, and are they going to tilt and try and stick with what they've got? Like, what's the mental going on right now? There's a lot to consider for a team like that that's down 2-0 at the half and everything. Whereas New Kings, I'm sure, are just frolicking, skipping through the meadow here, just another day. It's an interesting dynamic.
They don't look to be sweating particularly at the minute, don't New Kings? For Shoes Money Crew, though, arguably between Avoided and New Kings, you might have got your hard games out of the way for the bracket, and so you're going to be looking forward for the next 3 days to try and make up the early losses here and put yourselves in contestation for coming back up to Contenders. But it looks like we have our third and potentially final map of this particular matchup, and that's going to be Hanamura as our assault map for today.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting choice here for SMC. I suppose they just don't like Anubis or don't feel like it would really be the play. Plenty of options again at the DPS line. Oh, excuse me. Anubis is out of the map pool. That would make a lot more sense. Again, yeah, plenty of options here. Vasilia could go Junkrat or something wacky if they're really feeling it. Thieves could stay on the Tracer or the Reaper. There's lots of choke point control to consider here. Probably some more Reinhardt, a little less Wrecking Ball, maybe. But this is the last chance, like you said, for Shoes Money Crew. They have to make a stand here, at least draw. But even then, if you're drawing, you're still not too happy because you have to go to map 4. Who knows what you're going to pick there?
Yeah,
and really, are you going to be able to stop New Kings at that point?
Yeah, and there are no easy draws. Like, I feel every time I've had a draw in a match, it's been at least as much work as winning. Probably as much work as losing on a map like Hanamura. So you really want to be putting in that effort to come out with a point on the board. And this is going to be that last opportunity for it. But I do believe, whilst we're waiting for players to get back from a quick bio break, we're going to throw it to a very short break and we'll come back live. Oh, you know what? Scrap that, guys. I have, in fact, just seen that we are now going into map. All players return. So making a liar of me, and we are ready to get into Hanamura.
You know, I'll allow it. All good here. I'm curious to see in 20 seconds or so when the team gets to assemble their heroes. I'm curious to see what the defense comes out on. Like I said, I'm thinking a little more Rhine than Wrecking Ball. I like the choke point control that he brings. The shatters, of course, beautiful. Lulzish, an icon of the scene. You know, playing for some of the best teams Europe has really ever fielded in some of the greatest metas they've ever performed in. Of course, he's going to make a liar of me and at least start on the Wrecking Ball. It looks like he's not going anywhere yet, so maybe they're discussing it. A little more Soldier for Psycho coming out. He's surfing. He's been playing some CSGO. I like that. And we are setting up here. I still don't know if Lulzish is coming or not, but...
Well, at the very least, you know, he's the player here who you have the least concerns about getting to the point with. He's certainly the quickest on the board. Can't imagine him locking the battle castle here, despite how tempting the double shield might be. But yeah, in fact, you can just see his wireframe starting to move over now. He'll be with us in a couple of seconds, but it does look like we might be getting a bit of the old shoes money cheddar here as the cheese comps come out, looking for a cheeky TP to the point with May. The question is, have New Kings scouted this?
Well, they've certainly seen it now. Here comes the TP. They're going to let it come in.
Oh, also she's going to go out. And now it's a full-on brawl on the point. This is a nice set of angles being played here by New Kings, but the wall out from Vasilia is going to stop the recontest coming through properly. So I guess a lot of damage in over the top, already 50% of the way to having that force bomb online and ready to go. And it looks like New Kings are starting to push Shoes Money Crew back, but they need to get toes, they need to get bodies onto the point here. And Joffrey and Elivote are down. Now, if you're the New Kings, you are just playing to mitigate this bleed on the time bank. And it's, woo, there's a quick double. Are they going to bring this back? Lulzish has the minefield. There are still players here from Shoes Money Crew, but it's not a done thing. It's not a surety at all. Such good presence here from New Kings, tagging on and off the point to burn time here, to burn resources, and they are still keeping this going. Seiko with the tactical visor. Will find Naru. Will find Kumba. Finds Fees. And the team that does not say die here, I was ready to give this over about 30 seconds ago. And New Kings drag it back. That has to feel devastating for Shoes Money Crew.
That's just unfair. Like, that's not supposed to... Fees is swapping over from the sim. He says, you know what? Forget it. Forget it. It's fine. I'll go Tracer. We just need a tick at 95.4%. Frankly, if I'm New Kings even playing at the level they're playing at, I'm frustrated that you gave up that much as New Kings. Well, of course, not that it matters now, because they're just going to bleed out the next 2 minutes or whatever and pull hold or something crazy. But, like, man, what a weird first fight.
This rotation has not worked out well here for Shoes Money Crew. They need a little more than what they got there. Dealing with Elivo is great. That's part of the puzzle, but my friends, you need the rest of the pieces, and New Kings putting them firmly back in the box.
So, Shoes Money Crew do have 4 ultimates coming online, both tanks, both supports, maybe even the Mei and an extended fight. The key is AFOX. What will the Transcendence counter? What will it completely negate? Maybe save it for the Blizzard, maybe save it if it's a particularly juicy Flux, but maybe Kassar can win this fight on his own. Here comes the Flux, and here comes maybe a flanking Pulse Bomb as well.
Well, now the sound barrier is out. The Shadow's going to find 2 here. And Joffrey did not have the sound barrier ready to go. The Pulse Bomb is a whip here from Kassar. It's going to be 1 down as Eliboat looking to equalize the score here. And Visility will have the Blizzard. But he looks to be lacking in the old HP department for now. Gets the Blizzard out and the kills start to come through. Kassar still alive. Burns the rewind. And Fees gives him the old chin music. And there's the cap on point A.
Okay, Visility swapping makes sense. Just use the Blizzard, get out. Fairly expensive fight. They even swap off the Reinhardt onto the Wrecking Ball right away. So only coming online with the Flux Pulse Bomb, which is a decent option here. No Transcendence to counter, and the sound barrier is coming online soon, but they might have a small window. Of course, they could also be countered by the wrecking, the mines, excuse me, from the Wrecking Ball, as well as the Visor if Visility gets in a good position, or if Psycho gets in a good position.
I was looking at the race here between Naru already having that Gravity Flux online and Joffy getting the sound barrier. It's an aggressive sound barrier, and looks like we know it's a little bit early. It's a little bit not in the right place there from Joffy, and it means that we lose 3 now from New Kings on their way through. Lawsish is going to find Visility with that, and Naru gets focused down by Kassar. We've already given over 2 ticks here for Shoes Money Crew, getting the cap on the point, and Kassar is looking to clean up, but with 3 minutes left to go on the clock, that is phenomenally good progress for Shoes Money Crew on 1 push.
I mean, deja vu from point 1, right? They have a great first push. It's just ultimately foiled by the spawn advantage and by New Kings being New Kings. Fees there eventually realizing, why am I strafing? This is a 1v1, except it's a 1v6. I might as well just stand still and die. You might do that again right now. I don't know what's up with that, buddy. You got to stay a little safer. New Kings will take your head off as they get in. They do have a nice time bank, though, but not many ultimates to work with on either side. A fairly neutral fight coming up.
I think the only thing we're really looking at here is Psycho with the tactical visor, and I think when you're on the defense, it's a much harder ult to get value out of. Really, you want that high ground position that Psycho was aiming at there. Like, that's the ideal place. Oh, it's a big lob from Kassar, finds 4 on that one, and that is very unfortunate. One of the quickest charging ults in the game just puts a dead hard stop on the team fight.
At least the fight was over quickly?
Yeah. Nobody got much ult charge.
Yeah, right, exactly. Not a huge chance for anyone to build up. Just flashy, wham bam, thank you ma'am. 40 seconds off the clock. Shoes Money Crew, try again. A little closer to a couple more ultimates as well. However, AFOX coming online with that Transcendence pretty soon, so could cancel out a Pulse Bomb from Fees or the Visor from Visility. Lulzish getting caught out, easy enough for him to run away and loop around, and Cooper's already down. He doesn't even care.
No, coming back in, still has the Orb of Discord, finds the power driver, can he get the follow through? That's it, Sab is down and out as well, and we're at 90 seconds left on the clock here on the offense for Shoes Money Crew, and I feel like we're just seeing them playing the waiting game now. They just want a couple more pushes, get these final ults, all go in, press Q, and hope and pray.
Right, yeah, I mean, they're coming online with 4. The Rally and the Minefield would probably also come online in an extended fight. But again, they have to worry about the Transcendence, worry about the Flux. How do you use Sab's Transcendence even? What do you counter? Do you counter the Visor? Do you counter the Flux? Do you clear mines with it? And you only have a minute to figure this out. It's such a stressful position for Shoes Money Crew, but they must act now. This is their last real chance.
Really, you want one of these other support ults online to give you a little more sustain. Well, that's going to be what the Transcendence is used to counter, and arguably the better use of it here, because Seiko's going to still struggle to find value with that tactical visor. Won't see that committed just yet. That's going to come out now from Visility, who does have the high ground here, but New Kings, they make themselves largely scarce here. It's a quick 2k out from Visility. There's the third, and looking at who's on point at the minute, it's looking a little bit scrappy for New Kings. Shoes Money Crew in control of the fight for now, but we're going to see that last tag onto the point here. It's going to be Lulzish with the Minefield. Locks up the point, makes covering the distance that little bit trickier, and they are going to lose Naru here. There's a very real world where we see this go into the OT cap. Eliboat back on the Reinhardt, looking to stall it out for that final 3 seconds. A lot of pressure being put their way. Immortality field out. Seiko's going to find 1 here. And we're now into overtime. This is as good as it's going to get for Shoes Money Crew. They've got the numbers in their favor, and the Pulse Bomb is not enough to dislodge Hades from the point. And all the while, Visility on the high ground at the back, constantly putting in the pressure, is going to be what allows Shoes Money Crew to get that OT cap.
I'm not going to lie. That whole time, Shoes Money Crew are doing great. That was such a good
Oh,
fight
yeah.
from them. So controlled, such good positioning. The whole time I'm like, New King, how do New Kings bring it back? I know they're going to pull out something. The stall was great from them. But like you said, ultimately the positioning, there was no way to contest Facility up on the high ground. There was no way to break through that front line with all the support coming through. It was just a little too much in Shoes Money Crew's favor. And power to both teams, really. Shoes Money Crew for capping and New Kings, of course, for holding them to overtime, which opens up a lot of opportunities. If New Kings cap with 3 or 4 minutes on the clock, which, happens sometimes, all they have to do is cap 1 point to finish the series. Shoes Money Crew at least have a win condition because you just have to keep New Kings from capping that second point to win and get back in this series. Of course, that might be a little easier said than done looking at how New Kings have been playing. Same composition coming out from them, though, on the attack, at least as far as we've seen, whereas we see a Soldier Sombra coming out from Shoes Money Crew.
Yeah, and I actually like this adaptation, but the question is going to be, can FaZe get A, enough value out of the manual hacks to slow down New Kings, and B, enough EMPs to consistently be winning them team fights? In an ideal world, you have this ult every team fight, so you can just auto win the team fight, but it's hard to do against a high tier team like New Kings.
Right. I mean, Shoes Money Crew tried this on Lijiang Garden and did not get any value out of it. FaZe now on it, though, instead of Facility. Maybe his playstyle will enable them to get a little more value. We'll see.
Looks like Lilsish lining up the cue ball to go in. Gets bounced around, and the hack does come through there, and it will be the pick onto Elivo. Great start here, but they lose FaZe. It's a 1-for-1 trade with a really, really strong defensively favored advantage here. And in fact, another pick like that from Seiko is going to spell absolute disaster here for Shoes Money Crew. Joffe takes a lot of pressure, has to back away, manages to avoid getting run over by Hades here, and somehow survives to live through the fights.
12 health at the lowest there for Joffe. I mean, great job from the supports just to hang in there and to keep enough pressure on Hades that he couldn't stay and secure that kill. One more hit would have done it, but he was so afraid, rightfully so, that he had to run off and let Joffe live another day.
Kassar rapidly closing in on having a pulse bomb, and FaZe just blindsided there by Kassar, gets taken out of the fight, but it's a 2-for-2 so far. It means that it's not over just yet for Shoes Money Crew. Hades is going to have the minefield, but he's struggling a little bit to keep himself in this fight. Aafox backs away at low HP and finds somehow the rock through the window from Naru. Minefield is going to stop the contest coming through onto the point, and Shoes Money Crew managing to get kills, maybe not quickly enough though. I think we are going to see New Kings start to solidify here as Seiko deals with Hades, and Lilsish is now in the backline looking for stragglers. Thinks they've got a beam on somebody there, but this is almost certainly done and dusted on point A.
Right, they were looking for FaZe, who was retreating. He turned invisible and ran off, as Sombras are wont to do.
Coward.
I would say still a good hold. As we look at 5 minutes on the time bank, I would still say that's a win for Shoes Money Crew because it could have been much worse. Frankly, there could have been an extra 2 minutes on that clock, and we could be in some real trouble. They have a couple ultimates coming online. Most importantly, they have the Transcendence ready, or close to ready, in case New Kings decide to really just run in and press all their Q buttons at once. And this might be what they do.
93, there's the stun. Gravitic Flux is out. Aafox does not have their ultimate to play with, but they're going to find Kumba here. And Seiko has now been taken out of the fight. And that was your big initiation tool here. You really wanted that tactical visor up on the high ground to clear the point. At the very least, what this push has done is taken Sap's Transcendence off the point, but Aafox is going to trade theirs over here. And in the next fight, Shoes Money Crew are going to have the defensive ult advantage.
Yeah, I mean, the rally to give you a little extra beef, but the EMP alone could win you that fight. Maybe see what you can pull out of New Kings and then just pop the EMP to win. But if you get stunned out of invisibility like that, I mean, oh man, FaZe is giving me a heart attack. You must be careful. You can't just run in there. This is a whole different breed. You must be careful.
You've got to wake up pretty early to get one over on Hoffy. Aafox down first off in the fight. It's a 5v6. Seiko has committed the tactical visor here, but finds nothing much more than a wall of shields facing them. And Facility is able to get the double with their own tactical visor, and that's another hold here for Shoes Money Crew.
Not bad from them. Still holding on to the EMP and coming close to the tank ultimates too. Not bad. I'm hoping FaZe goes for a manual hack, perhaps onto Lulzish during his ultimate or something, to kind of maintain their ult economy. They still have 3.5 minutes to hold. It's not going to be enough to just win a fight with EMP. You have to make these fights kind of last, but also stay alive. So it's a tricky place to be for FaZe, but it's really all riding on him right now.
Well, we're going to be looking to see New Kings taking this approach up the right-hand stairs again. Means they're going to be nice and grouped up. Minefields out early from Lulzish, and there's the EMP onto 4, and the collapse is good. There's the double down now from Shoes Money Crew. Kassar's going to have to burn the rewind, retreat up to the high ground, and we're going to have to see them reset here. There's no chance they're winning this one just on the back of Kassar plays popping off. He's good, but he ain't that good.
Nope. Building up a little ult percentage again is nice, though. You just use a pulse bomb. He's already halfway to another, because that's just kind of how he goes. But those ultimates coming through on that last fight for New Kings were honestly pretty sloppy. That pulse bomb, there was no one there. He saw a ghost or something. The tank ultimate's not getting a ton done. And Choose Money Crew, except that EMP, which got 3 people, nice value, they're building up well again, maintaining their economy and getting some key picks to boot.
Man, this has been a much better defense from Shoes Money Crew than we've seen so far, and they've actually managed to rotate a lot of ultimates back into this fight, whilst New Kings are still quite a way away on several of these. Lulzish falling very low. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, if you're going to run a Wrecking Ball into a Sombra, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be nothing more than a big walking heap of ult charge.
Yeah, I mean, great value out of SMC. Like you said, a much better defense than what we've seen from them so far. Now, though, still 2 minutes on the clock. Still a time bank advantage for New Kings. They've done so well, right? They still need to be on top of it. They cannot let up on the gas. But they also must maintain their ult economy here. Maybe just the EMP after the Transcendence. Good manual hack as well.
Yeah, stops that ultimate coming through. And Hades is going to find one on that one with the minefield, and that fight was over pretty much as soon as it started. And it's great that FaZe didn't need to use the EMP here. Still got that ready for the next one. Still got the defensive Transcendence. And we actually got the Transcendence out of Avox in that fight.
Right. They pulled a lot from New Kings while not using much themselves. Only comboing the tank ultimates to great effect, mind you. And now they've got the Trans, the Rally, the EMP, and the Visor. Any one of those, or maybe 2, perhaps, could win you this fight and bring us into last fight territory with some major implications on the line. That said, the Rally to engage for New Kings and that pick on Defez could be just what they needed. They're on the point now.
Rally for Rally, and it's New Kings surging towards the point. Naru and Kuba both drop to keep the contest going, but again, Visility's on the high ground with the tactical visor, finds a lot of shielding, finds a lot of kinetic grasp, and can't get anything done with it, but the one thing he can do is stay up here, loud and proud, and Rain in the damage start to control this space, and as we're now deep down below the 1 minute mark, it's going to be very difficult for New Kings to claw this back, and FaZe is still holding on to this EMP. Avox starting to pop off. Seiko finds Sab here. It's going to be down to FaZe to find something pretty massive here with the EMP, as it's now New Kings in control of the point. There's the EMP. It's going to hit 2. Avox taken immediately out of the equation. Visibly finds Seiko. Kassar is able to punch back here and find FaZe, and it's Lulzish rolling around in his own droppings here, trying to keep this point going, trying to make it hard for anyone to get in and contest. We've almost got 2 ticks on the board here for New Kings. We are very close to getting another round here on Hanamura. Shoes Money Crew, they're looking to dig deep. They're looking to find these final few percentages of success and finally put a point on the board. 3 Ks, and it's Avox alone and fragging on the point. Too little, too late. Kassar with the tag, but he's got a tiny HP pool to work with, and the overtime's going to tick down with Shoes Money Crew finally getting a point on the board on Hanamura.
Okay, Shoes Money Crew, I see you. That was a great defense from them. Fantastic. Amazing ult economy. Just delicious, chef's kiss, you name it. They constantly, you could tell FaZe knew how important that last EMP was going to be, even though it wasn't like a blockbuster or anything, but it did hit the Brigida as well as, I believe, the Tracer or the Soldier, and it was just enough. Right? Just enough to keep them in the fight. Just enough to get the spawners back. To get the swap onto the Baptiste. Do what needed to be done and secure that round. So fantastic on them burning 5 minutes in the time bank. Like, that really cannot be understated. This could be a big momentum swing for Shoes Money Crew. And they really need it because still on match point despite that impressive win.
It wouldn't be the first reverse sweep that Shoes Mini Crew have seen in trials so far this season, although to be fair, the last one was against them rather than for them, so they have at least seen how these work, and let's see if there's a little more life left in Shoes Mini Crew, but we'll be seeing that after we throw it to a very short break. Welcome back, everybody. We're ready to go into our hybrid map for today, which is going to be Eichenwalde, according to the schedule. And for those of you unfamiliar with the system we use here in Trials, it's a predetermined map pool. There's no winner pick, loser choose side on this one. It's all down to it's today, and so these are the maps that we're going to be running. Eichenwalde still here with the potential to be the last map of the series, but it's worth noting Shoes Money Crew suddenly really ramping up the tempo with that Sombra defense.
Yeah, I mean, great adaptations from them. Strong, just mental play throughout to withstand 5 minutes of defense after getting, frankly, kind of smacked on the previous map. You know, coming back from that is a notable feat. So this is a real chance for them to get back into it on a map that is New King's pick, but still offers a lot of strength to players like Hades and Facility. And their hero pools in general. Just Eichenwalde is a great versatile map for players with those sorts of pools. So still a good chance for Shoes Money Crew to bring this back to a map 5, perhaps. And that's what they need. They have to fight for their lives here. So.
And I do wonder if we're going to be seeing New Kings making any adaptations, because it looked like they were really struggling to deal with FaZe's Sombra. I wonder if we'll maybe see the mirror matchup come through. I have to say, from experience, not that familiar with Kassar's Sombra, not a hero I've seen them play an awful lot here. So given that Seiko is their flex DPS in this roster, maybe that's what we'll see them pick up here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Now that you mention it, actually, I don't think I've ever seen Kassar plays on the Sombra. Yeah, maybe there's a chance I've just missed it. Maybe this could be kind of a hole in the hero pool, perhaps, that Shoes Money Crew can really take advantage of. If there's no confident Sombra play, then you really have to think, as Shoes Money Crew, how can we take this advantage that we've just discovered and really get the mileage out of it? Because that's what they have to do. Of course, the last time, or rather the first time, I should say, that the Sombra came out, Psycho was on the hero they are on now, the Echo. It was so oppressive, completely negated Visility's effectiveness. I like the adaptation they made on Hanamura, putting Fees on the Sombra, Visility on the Soldier, which is one of his strongest picks. But he is going to have his work cut out for him against Psycho because their mobility and understanding of that hero is just so good.
And of course, one of the reasons that you traditionally think of Point A, Eichenwalde, as being a map where you can really get away with running a defensive tower because of that clock tower. Psycho on the Echo is going to have exactly that same leeway. Lots and lots of geometry in their favor here for playing this, even on the offense, frankly.
Right. It's down to Psycho versus Visility, because Visility knows his job as the hit scan, the long-range hit scan here in this composition. But Psycho knows as well what they need to do to avoid that. The angle Psycho's taking right now, the cover they're using, is definitely the play when going up against a composition defensively like this.
Yeah, I love this. You just caught there, Fees and Hades both camped on the lower right-hand side near the pits. And nobody paying them any kind of attention until it's time for the roll-through. And what a roll-through. Hades just runs a Fox over with a little bit of help there from the Orb of Discord. And that's going to be New Kings with a one-player disadvantage, not really in a great position to keep this fight going that much longer. There's the D-Mech onto Elibot, the pick onto Seiko, and Shoes Money Crew with the hold. And after one team fight, Fees is already above the 50% mark on the EMP.
Yeah, good progress from Shoes Money Crew on all ultimates, especially I'll point out the Transcendence from Sab, notably ahead. AFOX got picked out a little early, of course, so they're going to have the advantage there, but that's pretty key. When you start looking at the duplicates coming in, or the Pulse Bomb from Kassar, which looks like it's going to be up next, like that little advantage can be pretty key, unless, of course, Visility goes down there.
You just can't afford to walk in front of AFOX's crosshairs because, well, 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen to you. We'll get the run back here from Visility, nice and quick on those mechanized legs, but he's going to be very quick. Oh, big hack onto Kassar, and a Hack's Tracer is a dead Tracer. Luckily, Kassar's going to be back in the fight relatively quickly, but it's going to be down to somebody on New Kings to make a play here, and Seiko is down to 1 HP as the Transcendence there gets them back in the fight, but immediately hacked and then just obliterated by the focus fire from Fees. This has been so good on the defense. Look at the ults that Shoes Money Crew have to play with here, whilst New Kings basically spaffed AFOX's Transcendence into that team fight to no avail.
I feel like Shoes Money Crew called in their older brothers and said, these guys are making fun of me and they're beating me up really bad in the video game. And these guys came in and are just turning up. Fantastic ult usage. They have 6 ultimates coming online because Fees is getting these huge manual hacks, denying the ultimate from Kassar, denying the re-engage from Psycho with the trans. I mean, they're winning fights off of cooldowns. It's so good from them. Look at them go. Oh,
the tracking there from Fees was phenomenal. Psycho did not stand a chance. We'll have the equalizer come through as the Pulse Bomb connects. Rally's going to be out from Kumba, and if you're New Kings, you probably don't want to throw into that unless you have to, although they do have their own rally currently in play, so level playing field on that front at the very least. Visility hits a lot of wall there with that tactical visor, but will eventually go through Joffy's shield and into Joffy. We'll see the Transcendence come out principally there as the Minesweeper, as Lorsish claims Fees. We'll see the barrier there destroyed for the Brig, and 1 tick finally on the point here for New Kings as Seiko picks up the Soldier here for Duplicate, gets the tactical visor. No kills on the back of it so far, but comes swooping back in with a focusing beam and does a heck of a lot of damage there onto Naru, who will escape with their lives, but second tick gain as Kassar plays, explodes at the front line and finds the triple. And New Kings, it may have taken them almost all of that time bank, but they have now capped point A, and we see this roll through streets.
Right, another great time bank burn really just coming through from Shoes Money Crew. Yeah, they lose that point, but they don't lose it and then have 5 or 6 minutes in Streets phase to worry about. They have 3, which is nice. Fee swapping over to the Tracer now. Wants to go for that 1v1 with Kassar. Ultimately, it just looked like that longer fight was going to favor New Kings because of the specific ultimates they had online. I figured Psycho was going to like duplicate a tank or something, but the soldier did enough. And Kassar as well is popping off these pulse bombs right now.
That is a great pick. Kumba out of the fight. Interestingly, we have seen Joffrey actually swap over onto the Mercy here. Not as much general healing, but certainly a lot of focus, and the damage boost cannot be underestimated here. Kassar looking to get those final few bullets into the hitbox of Hades, but Hades makes himself scarce and gets out of the fight. Kassar rapidly closing in on another pulse bomb here. He only just opened up that previous team fight with one of those ultimates.
Right, and this Mercy actually is going to give Psycho a lot of beef against that hit scan duel, against a visor coming through in the air. They're going to have to try to focus Jofi down, but Aafox is just going to handle it for him.
That's, I think, the second or third time we've seen Aafox win that duel. He's looking for the third here. Hades will eventually get him out, but he backs into Elivote, and Elivote is able to do the heavy lifting of the back end of that one. Joffrey in with the res to bring Aafox back into the fight. It was a slow point A, but this is a blisteringly fast point B, Fibble.
New Kings are done. They've had enough. They say, no, you don't understand. We are better than you, and we are going to show you how in 8 different ways. We're going to stick you with the pulse bomb. Aafox is going to dink half your team. We don't care anymore. We are done with this, and they are playing lights out right now.
Ooh, Kassar finds the stick, and it's Sab down and out. Kassar now back on the hunt, traps Hades, and Aafox is going to get the value on that one. Seiko now has the Gravitic Flux online and ready to go. It's a big lift up, taken out of the duplicate before that can come online as Losish takes a trip over the side. Seiko desperate looking for the final few picks here, but SMC, they rally and they mount the defense here. New Kings going to have to back out, but at the minute marker here, Thibble, they've not got much time to work with.
And, you know, I talked about how angry and how ready New Kings are to start to bring this back, but now they have nothing. They're going for last-minute swaps. There's 40 seconds on the point. There's a tank ult advantage now for Choose Money Crew, just barely, though, because Naru did swap over to the Sigma as well. There's some rock, paper, scissors going on while they figure out who's going what. And, I mean, this is last fight. This is it for New Kings. They have to make it work just with the Pulse Bomb, it looks like, coming online against the Minefield. But Feast is also swapped to the Sombra and could put a stop to that with a nice manual hack.
At the very least, there's no EMP just yet, but and there's not even gonna be a manual hack, as Kassar is able to win out that duel, and Fees is down. Oh, this has been so good, just like a snap of lightning. Loud and proud, they storm into B, and in the final few seconds of the timer, they get us into point C, and they made that look easy, frankly.
Right, yeah. 30 seconds left, but it might as well have been 2.5 minutes or more. Hades didn't even get the chance to build up the minefield for that last contest. He'll have it soon, I suppose, assuming he doesn't get killed out again by Kassar and Psycho, who are now really turning it up, and Wolves is just right behind him. So pretty even field here in terms of ultimates. A nice neutral fight here. Not a lot of time on the board, though. Choose Money Crew could burn a lot of this bank and really set themselves up for their attacks.
Minefield out. It's going to be Hades the first one there, but unless that finds a couple of picks here, it's very heavily going the way of New Kings, and it's Aafox in control for now. Has to pop in the Transcendence, buys it a little bit of surety and confidence there for the tanks as they surge their way forward into what remains of Shoes Money Crew. Back over onto the point and rounding the final corner on the payload.
Right, and Shoes Money Crew, like I said, just need to burn some time here, so they took the fight on the cart, used the mines on the cart, forced New Kings away, and stopped the cart for that extra 30 seconds or so. Now, this is really looking at last fight, because they have so much to work with, and Aafox is just not going to let this go.
Aafox, the third DPS here for New Kings. Visibility with Attack Visor scares them off for now, but before long, we're going to see the rally coming through from Joffrey to embolden, to enforce the tactical visor from Seiko and make them just that little bit harder to get shut off. Minefields over the point as well, and with the Gravitic Flux to add in over the top, New Kings are just throwing everything they have left at this fight, and when you consider that we're in overtime, that's exactly what you want to see them to. Last second Transcendence from Sab helping to stall out a little bit here, but New Kings have got the momentum in their favor. Minefield might momentarily slow this down a little ways. Joffrey's going to go down, but it's the DPS here from New Kings that are starting to come alive and keep this going. The Flux came out, but it is immediately shut down. The final meter is going to tick over, and there's the cap here for New Kings.
Right. Again, though, looking at this like we looked at Hanamura, a stop in overtime, or rather a completion in overtime. So there's a win condition certainly for New Kings. Finishing Eichenwalde is never a guaranteed thing. So for them to pull it out even in overtime, good on them. But there's also the chance that Choose Money Crew come back with an offense just as good, if not better, develop a time bank advantage perhaps, or at least equalize, go into some extra rounds and keep the series going. New Kings have the advantage of knowing what they need to do right away. You just need to hold before that last checkpoint. Anywhere. Could be a full hold, could be in streets, could be in that last section of the map. Anywhere. If you hold, this series is over. So that playing with that defensive posture in mind can be a huge strategic advantage for them. That said, they're coming online against, again, if we can consider what Choose Money Crew are coming in on with the attack, this somber soldier again, it's been doing pretty well for them. So
I feel like
either way.
I feel like it's a comp that really lives and dies on FaZe's hack efficiency and ult efficiency in particular. If FaZe isn't being given the space to find the opportunities to get the hacks and generate ult charge and help his team generate ult charge, then you might as well just have a Tracer in play and try and mirror SAR. But the SAR FaZe matchup for me has been really, really interesting because there's been a lot of back and forth on that role.
Yeah, I mean, one will play amazingly and the other will clap right back and get, a crazy pulse bomb or a good EMP. It's so back and forth. Psycho and Facility as well. Dueling now on the soldiers. No Echo in sight here. They want each other out.
Ooh, Facility takes a big rock there, but will survive. Orbital score is going to momentarily make him a little bit less confident about pushing out and taking this next fight. But now Choose Money Crew have made the rotation over into the computer repair shop and they're ready to start this final sally over towards the points. Now with the interrupt there with the shield, but Lolsish finds the opening frag. Facility out of the fight, and Lolsish is going to pay for that one. Naru still desperate, looking for something with the kinetic grasp to buy them those overshields to keep themselves in the fight. In the meantime, Kassar is able to find the pick, and Psycho and Elibo looking to follow up here. We'll see the hold come through now for New Kings.
A somewhat long fight. I mean, still plenty of opportunities here for Shoes, but I was kind of hoping that they would just run or jump off the edge, buy themselves an extra 20 seconds or so. That can make a big difference. It also gave a lot of ult charge over to New Kings. They're online or close to online with a couple, and then they're building up past halfway with all the rest. Whereas Choose Money Crew are a little behind in the tank ultimate department, and especially behind in the support ult department for Sab. And that Transcendence is so big.
Pulse bomb not connecting, but the Helix rocket finding a lot of value on its own there. Seiko now closing in on having that tactical visor ready to go. Flushes out, FaZe goes for the melee, finds the final bullet, but now has to deal with a wrecking ball right in the face as Hades comes back through. A Fox with the Transcendence, whooping his way back to point to keep his team alive and hopefully, desperately trying to find enough time here to buy the recontest for New Kings. We have seen them come back from worse than this, but that's already one tick gained on the point for Choose Money Crew. There's the Flux. Naru takes not all that much damage from this. Here's the tactical visor coming up from Seiko as well. Looking to see where that's even coming from here. Trapped up in the low ground, away from where they can do a huge amount of damage. And we're looking at a pretty quick cap here for Choose Money Crew, all things considered.
Right, a great job from Sab and from Hades. That minefield that you just saw there in that little hallway completely negated any chance for a recontest, and the Transcendence perfectly countered out the Flux from Elivote. I was almost expecting Elivote not to Flux there, wait for the Trans to come out, but it must have been so close to one another that Elivote just didn't spot that out. So a small misplay from him, but also I'm not going to rag on him too hard about it because I see the value there. Kassar not getting much with this Pulse Bomb, actually. That could be big as well.
Well, about to see everybody just pressing Q all at once here for New Kings. Who's the ready come through, EMP over the top, and beautifully timed. We see the tactical visor come in over the top, finds Seiko, and there's no way you can run Lolsish. Oh, A-Fox gets Facility yet again, a little bit overconfident on that one, but it is just A-Fox left trying to keep this fight going.
Right, and this whole time the card has been pushing, slowly but pushing. A weird kind of place in my eyes to have that fight and to spend that many ultimates, but it does secure you quite a bit of progress, and now you're set up on the high ground too, so not terrible from Choose Money Crew here.
Naru knocked off of the high ground here, and no handy group that looks to get him back up into that one just yet, and now he may find himself isolated from the rest of the team. A lot of burst damage coming his way, and Naru taken out there by the Helix Rocket from Seiko. Kassar on the hunt now, sees the Orb of Discord resting heavily upon the shoulders of Hades, but Hades able to get out of that one. Here's what's good for New Kings, though. They have now control of the high ground, which, with Seiko closing in on having another tactical visor, is exactly where you want to be.
Right, even building up some extra ult percentage with that biotic field. Lijiang going down, though, is huge. There's really no key engage for them and no mobility to flush anyone off the high ground. And now Shoes Money Crew are moving on up.
It did look like we were looking at a little bit of a back cap here. And by splitting themselves here, New Kings may have accidentally ruptured their chances here. Psycho's going to throw in that tactical visor, but I just don't think they've got the angle to keep this going. As we see Shoes Money Crew retake control of the point. Lawless is able to find one, but it's not going to be enough as Sab starts to frank out. The EMP comes in over the top. We will have the minefield coming out now from Lawless, but I think too little, too late to really make this fight go any other direction than towards Shoes Money Crew, who now get 3 minutes to push the distance. And if they can do this in 2, there's no extra attack round for New Kings.
Right, and that's a key condition for them. We're just now swapping over to the Winston. Want some more bursty engage against these slower healing supports, I think. I worried for a moment that Shoes Money Crew were being too expensive with their plays, but ultimately they're just building ultimates so fast. They have 3, almost 4 with the Transcendence coming soon, whereas New Kings, they're lucky just to have the pulse bomb.
Minefields out, and it's looking a little bit like panic stations now for New Kings. Visility with attack visor finds a Fox. It's a main tank. It's an off tank. It's a support. It's everybody down here from New Kings. Shoes Money Crew running this payload through, and they've still got 93 seconds in which to do this with time to spare.
Right. The Transcendence coming online here will have to be what saves them from a particularly good pulse bomb, potentially. However, if he hits some squishies, Kassar is going to kill someone no matter what. Hades is just doing his best to stay disruptive here.
It's a full-on brawl now from New Kings. It's a big stick from Hades, but will get out, rolls it nice and away from the rest of his team, pops the adaptive shields, and keep themselves in the fight. Sab now has the Transcendence. There's no pulse bomb to worry about. You can just guarantee your own life, guarantee your own team fight here on this one, but it wasn't enough to keep Kumba in the fight. Meaning it's a... Wow, okay, Sab just takes Seiko's head off at the shoulder. Lawless able to find the equalizer onto Feast there, but so far nobody is really contesting Sab. And between the Orb of Discord, the Orb of Harmony, and the sheer uncontrolled firepower here from Sab, they're really starting to round out this team fight. But not out of the woods yet here for Shoes Money Crew. New Kings are slowly doing enough to drag this back from the brink. If they can hold this off for another 30 seconds, which is going to be hard to do in the face of the EMP comes in, hits 5, but it doesn't get Joffrey. Joffrey survives and actually gets the sound barrier out. Kassar finds 1 with a pulse bomb. We are less than 4 meters away from securing a cap here for Shoes Money Crew, but they fall at the final hurdle. And now we are definitely down below the minute marker, and New Kings coming up on ults.
I don't think it would have mattered there, but Visility actually, like, his crosshairs passed over the head of the baby diva. He did not see her there at all, and she had maybe 50 hit points left. I don't know if it would have changed anything, but it would have been one more pick to potentially bring the momentum back in their favor. Now New King swapping to the Ash. You have Visility now on the Sombra and Feast on the Reaper, going for some more tank-heavy focusing compositions, backing away from the kind of wrecking ball brawl that they were going for now. They want to push this through. It's now or never for them.
Self-destruct glows high and wide into the back in between the shielding and the projected barrier. There's nothing doing on that one. And, oh, that's unfortunate. Seiko comes through with the Death Blossom, but meets the stun and gets taken out of the fight. This has been such a good re-engage from Shoes Money Crew. Are we going to see the tag? We just get that touch in from Lawless. Tries to bring out the shatter, but nothing doing. A Fox down, and Seiko now moving on to the Trace to keep this going just that little bit longer. Can't secure overtime, but 1 minute versus 1 minute 9 is not all that big of a difference at this level of Overwatch level.
No, definitely not. We're looking at as about as similar as New Kings could hope for, considering there was a chance. Frankly, there was a chance on the second to last fight, that SMC capped with an extra 30 seconds and forced at least a draw. So if you're New Kings, you're still okay with this. This is still totally winnable. They're gonna have a minute. They go first because they have the lower time bank to get as far as they can, whether that's capture percentage on the first point or progress on the payload after that. Whatever they can get in a minute is what they've got and what they get to hold with against Shoes Money Crew and try and finish this series. That said, Shoes Money Crew, I think they're smelling blood.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are playing way better than they were in the first 2 maps. They're really turning it up. They're making the right adaptations at the right time, forcing New Kings to play their game. And that the importance of that cannot be understated, just in Overwatch in general. Getting to play the game you want to play, the heroes you're comfortable on, the strategies you want to use instead of adapting to the other team puts you at such a leg up. So Choose Money Crew not out of this yet.
And as much as it's a team game and you don't want to lean too heavily on it being the narrative of one person, honestly, it is FaZe on the Sombra. Like we said at the start of this map, like he needs to be getting the value here, needs to find the manual hacks, needs to find the EMPs, and the boy has been turning up in a big way here. So another good defensive showing from FaZe puts us in the realm of another point on the board for Choose Money Crew. Let's see how New Kings tackle this. It'll be Seiko starting out on the Echo here, and a nice little chunk of early ult charge here. Aafox now picking up the Ana, so that anti-nade and those sleeps are going to be huge in how this fight plays out, but going to be a little more vulnerable. You can already look at that health bar, tanking down a little bit, has the Orb of Discord sat on them. No kills coming through from anybody just yet, as all the players batter around the point, looking for an opening here from either side.
Yeah, everyone's just waiting. They all know the stakes involved in this game. A huge focus on Delocious, though. What a rush.
This is really unfortunate because with 14 seconds left to go, even the quickest character in the game is going to struggle to get back in this fight in a meaningful way. Kassar is so close to having a pulse bomb. A big pulse bomb here could absolutely crack this wide open, but it's just going to go straight through the letterbox onto the doormat, and there's nothing doing on that one. Kassar now down. Seiko picks the duplicate, has the flux ready to go. A couple more hyperspheres, we'll see them get that. Lift the supports into the air, but Seiko is hacked out of the ultimate. At the very least here for New Kings, you have progress on the board, and there are picks still coming through. The EMP was a big one here though, but it's not been enough to dissuade Seiko! Seiko's been able to get the double here, but there's too much pressure being sent their way. There's too much brawl, there's too much sustain, there's too much talent here from Choose Money Crew. That's got to be said and done on the offense for New Kings, and now there's a line in the sand for Choose Money Crew.
55.4%. It's not guaranteed, but it's not necessarily the biggest hurdle in the world, right? We've seen some crazy 1 minute pushes. We've seen taking 1 minute and turning it into the entire map. So for Choose to hold at 55.3%, getting those first picks, getting those strong hacks, getting those transcendences that are canceling out so much of New King's effort so perfectly, if I'm Choose Money Crew, I am feeling very confident in myself. It feels like they're starting to get a bit of a download here on how SAR wants to play, how Seiko wants to play, how Luljas wants to engage on the Wrecking Ball. They are playing smart here, and that is winning them some big, big fights. Them winning this, forcing us to map 5, and potentially even winning that if the momentum is in their favor, I think upset does not do it enough justice if they bring it that far.
When you think of how dominant Rialto was in particular for New Kings, it would be a really, really big upset. Some interesting adaptations here, if this is really what we're seeing from Choose Money Crew. I think, I don't know, this seems like an unnecessary change. FaZe has been doing a really good job here on the Sombra.
I think they're expecting, they might swap quickly after they see what New Kings have, maybe expecting Lulzish on the Winston again, because this is what they pulled on the last phase of their defense to handle Lulzish's Winston. So maybe after this fight, see what you can get with this perhaps, and then maybe see about swapping, or use this to great effect.
That is a stonking amount of focus. Elivoke just removed from the fight almost instantly the second that dive came through. Aafox is able to tag back a little bit here, but in an incredibly tradey team fight, this is going to eventually favor the offense. Naru stunned, almost goes over the edge here, will go over the edge. Will they be able to recover from that? Yeah, Naru just gets back on here, and now there are 30 seconds on the clock.
They gotta get to the point.
FaZe has made the swap over onto the Tracer, and there is so much pressure being sent the way of New Kings here. Elivote's going to get demeched, and Lawless is able to find visibility. Hades scrabbling around for targets. Jumps back in, finds a squishy target, and Joffrey did an excellent job of trying to escape here, but it's looking good now for Choose Money Crew. They've got the numbers in their favor. The minefield may have been committed, but there's a coalescence out from Sab. Chases Lawless away from the point, and it's down to Kassar to try and keep this going, but it's nothing doing, my friend. One last second tag onto the point, but that is it. Shoes Money Crew really coming alive here and keeping this fight going on. Looking like we're set for a map 5 here, Febble.
What a fantastic... The difference between first 2 games and these last 2 maps for Shoes Money Crew, it's night and day. Right? It's such an insane change. The adaptations coming through that swap. We didn't even know if they really wanted to go that route with the Winston, but instantly proving us wrong and getting so much value out of the cleave and the sustain, the extra health, just the presence on point that a Winston allows you in those sorts of scenarios actually ended up being a huge game changer in that last fight. They were so patient and methodical, waited that full minute to set up, make sure they had the advantage consistently. No one going to come around from behind and flank them and kill their backline and end the map, right? Their series would be over at that point. They knew what was at stake there. And Shoes Money Crew are playing like their lives depend on it, which is what they've needed to do for the past 2 maps. And now we get to map 5.
And you know, looking at the bracket, we had New Kings as one of, if not the team to beat here. So if you are looking for as many points as you can to secure that ticket back up to Contenders, then this is a match that if Shoes Money Crew can win here is a big boon for them, because I think their bracket gets a little bit easier after this. Like it's not a bye by any means, but you know, not having to face Avoided again, not having to face New Kings again, has got to leave you feeling a little more relaxed, if not completely relaxed. And now it's all going to come down to one final round of control, and that last map for today is going to be Oasis. I
am very curious to see what Visibility and the DPS in general, right? They've kind of been the talking point here. I will say that the swaps coming out from the tank lines here, Hades and Naru and Lulzish and Elivote, have also been hugely impactful. But depending on the stage of Oasis that you're on, there's so many options, but so many of those options are so important to the flow of the map. If you swap to a soldier versus an echo, again, if we have a Reaper or a Tracer or a Sombra or anything like that, maybe something a little brawlier on a map like University, maybe a Symmetra coming through like Control Center on Lijiang from New Kings. We are looking at City Center first, though. Very open air. I predict some soldier here for sure.
I wonder if we're going to see the Echo out from Psycho as well. It's been working very well for them so far. I think possibly a hero that is, I think, on the cusp of being an incredibly meta pick. I think in the right hands, Echo is such a strong option that, you know, in the hands of somebody like Psycho, it can absolutely turn the tide of a team fight. And we have seen that a few different times from New Kings. Coming into this map, though, New Kings have already won 1 series of control. They didn't win it cleanly, did go to 3, but you've got to assume that this is more or less in their favor, having already won this map type already.
Right. It's the chaos here could be the option that kind of gives them that edge, that gave them the edge on Lijiang, like you said. Their ability to control the point so effectively. Lul's just on the wrecking ball. Yeah, he's maybe been getting caught out a little more lately, but he's still so good on the hero. It's going to be matched up against Hades. Fees and Kassar both swapping over to the Tracer. Psycho on the Echo, Visibility on the Soldier.
The big wrinkle here for me is Elivote on the Diva, because in the wrong situation, you see exactly that. Look how much HP was given over there just to ult charge by virtue of having the Orb of Discord on them. But doesn't matter too much. Elivote might have been the bait on that one as Afox and Seiko come in with the double, and Lulzish looking to make that a third, finds the pile driver, and it's safety dance time there. Facility drops the health back, dodges back and forth, but can't quite do enough to secure the pick as Seiko looks to make the rotation around the side and put in some additional damage and stop the rotation coming through. Early cap now for New Kings. They're looking to solidify their lead.
Right, good disengage here from Shoes Money Crew. Naru swapping over to the Diva himself now. Visibility building a quick attack visor here. Could set up on the high ground for something pretty flashy, but Psycho will be there to contest him. Wolves is also coming online with the mines well before Hades is.
Psycho took a bit of damage on that early engage. Will also be coming up on the duplicate. So far, nobody really properly in this team fight. Yeah, there's bullets being exchanged, but not quite looking to make the meat hit the street, as it were. And that's going to be the first one. Kassar is already down. He's able to find that one. Visibility will pop the attack visor, but not able to find anybody with that. Very heavily pressured away and wasting almost all of that attack visor in the rotation to find somewhere to stick it. Nice eat there from Ellie. Takes FaZe's pulse bomb out of the fight. See the D-Mech come through. Hades taken out as well. FaZe forced to burn the recoil on that one. Seiko able to find visibility with the duplicated self-destruct, and that's going to be the hold here as we round the 60% mark for New Kings.
And an expensive attempt there for Shoes Money Crew, just holding on to the mines but using almost everything else. FaZe swapping over to the Sombra now. I like that move. I don't think he was getting too much value at the end of the day with the Tracer against Kassar and against Psycho even. But New Kings, 75% with 3 ultimates online. This is a really good position for them to take this first map.
Kassar's pulse bombs to me have been a little bit hit or miss, but you can kind of afford that with the rate at which he's been charging them. You know, if you've got them more or less on cooldown, cool, use them on cooldown. But at 90%, even a single pick here with a pulse bomb, oh, get the double! I thought he'd whiff that, but Sab and Kumba just back up onto the explosive and almost guarantee New Kings this team fight. There's only Sab's Transcendence, and Sab is back at spawn, can't use that, and so a quick 100-0 for New Kings, and they've got to win one more sub-map, and that's them taking the series.
Yeah, if I'm Shoes Money Crew there, chalk it up, get out, move on, next one. Like, that's all you can do. You got outplayed there for sure. You did not have the time to make the adaptations you wanted or get the value you wanted out of your cooldowns. Let's go on to another map that maybe favors us a little more, swapping over to the Rhine Zarya now, which has been kind of their MO on maps like this. They did the same thing, I believe, on Control Center as well. It's definitely the most similar map on Lijiang to this one. The Sims, the McCree from SAR. I don't know. Okay.
It's been really fun watching them make this slow rotation through their picks here. We will have in fact, no, we have got the mirror. It's going to be FaZe versus Kassar, though. Once again, it's going to be the Reaper into a McCree, and honestly, the McCree to shut down the Reaper is a great pick here from Kassar. Oh, it's tiny Overwatch. Both walls up from the May, and Lulsish losing that one. FaZe able to focus him down very heavily. And it's going to be Shoes Money Crew with the early cap here for certain.
Yep, good start from them. The earlier wall and the quicker engage meant that the second wall coming in from Psycho was not enough to actually split up the team. So they said, okay, yeah, there's a wall behind us, but we're all still here. We're just going to go ahead and do what we want to do. And Kassar, I mean, the McCree is good for picking out players like the Reaper or anyone you can catch on their own. But in this brawly fight where everyone's jammed in front of their faces, of course the Reaper's going to get more valuable. I really like that move. The wrinkle here from Shoes Money Crew and the quick engage. Look at him go.
Yeah, man, the thing I want to look at is Elivo. Elivo has a lot of charge and a lot of ult charge. He's about to get this Graviton Surge online. The Sand Barrier is already out from Kumba. Joffy has theirs ready to go. And so far, no kills at the back mid, but Lulsish finds the charge, squashes Facility flat. It's now down to Kassar in the back, desperate looking for those crosshairs to line up. Almost finds Sab, finds the stun, but it's too little, too late, because I was able to find Hades, and New Kings push back in on the back of such a quick grab there from Elio. That was phenomenal.
He's halfway to another. Naru coming online, though, still technically ahead. I mean, really, that's just what Elivo does. I mean, that's been his MO since day one, man. And Naru, though, being ahead means that they're going to be able to combo, you know, maybe get the grab blizzard combo off.
The fattest of shatters. 4 on their backs, 2 back to spawn. Make that a third, make that a fourth, and the chase is on here from New Kings, harrying Shoes Money Crew back into spawn.
I kind of go back to Kassar's 4-man pulse bomb. At least the fight was over quick.
Yeah.
I mean, Elivo still building up another 40% of his ultimate in the meantime. He's caught up to Naru. That advantage is gone. But Shoes Money Crew do have 5 ultimates online to try and counter that. Some good survivable ultimates. The coalescence, perhaps, so Sab can be smart about it. Let's see what they do.
Well, we now have the... It wasn't quite a lap. I think Naru maybe got that out first, but with the blizzard over the top and the sound barrier from Joffy, it's gonna be New Kings coming out on top of that one. But no! At the last second, Kumpa's able to bring out the sound barrier and keeps them alive through that. And Kassar is able to find one with the high noon. So as good as that counterplay was from Shoes Money Crew, New Kings had the ultimate to play to make that work. The only thing that you have in your favor here for Shoes Money Crew is that New Kings did spend everything in that fight.
Very expensive fight on both sides. The narrow advantage of the Death Blossom here, but you also have to worry about the flashbang and the bubbles and the charge from the Reinhardt and the freeze from the Mei. There's so many little boxes you have to check before you can press that Q button. I wonder almost if FaZe holds on to that until they have more combos to work with. Sab coming online with the Coalescence is also big. She built that up really fast, and that Death Blossom gets nothing.
How? He just soared up into the air. FaZe pops the ultimate and then just goes for a joyride up into the sky, and Elivo, like it's sheet skeet shooting, even knocks him out of the sky. Another blizzard here from Seiko, and the lock is on. One last second tag onto the point, but the numbers now heavily favoring New Kings. Elivo at a big rate of charge, and Seiko just dinking headshot after headshot in. Beautiful to see. FaZe just tracked down, demolished in the middle of the fight. Kumba down 2. And that's it. 2 very quick rounds of control on Oasis, and New Kings will prevent the reverse sweep.
I mean, I guess they just wanted a little extra practice time in an official, you know? Extend out those last 2 maps, really make them start to sweat a little bit, and then Elivote will say, you know, I think we should win this one. I'll go Zarya. Let's just get it over with. I mean, insane. Just insane.
You as a play-by-play caster, you've got to be watching everywhere on screen at once to catch things going. But like my eyes just like continuously dragged up and up to the rate of ult charge for the Zarya there, and it was mesmerizing to watch a number climb so quickly, which I realize is maybe a weird thing to admit to here, but I mean, what a performance here from New Kings, and what a performance from Shoes Money Crew to really take them to the final map. When we consider that New Kings managed a very quick 3-0 against Caspian yesterday, we were expecting more of the same from New Kings.
Right. I mean, if I'm Shoes Money Crew, much like the end of that Lijiang, I walk away with this with some pride.
Yeah.
You forced definitely, I would say, one of the better, if not the best teams in Trials to the brink. You forced them to swap to their old comfort plays, these old guard players with way more experience. You forced them to play your game for a short time before eventually being absolutely blasted on control, which is sometimes just kind of how it goes. So if I'm Choose Money Crew, hey man, tomorrow's another day. It's another game, another chance. And like you said, the schedule for them can only get easier after playing arguably the best teams in their group. Now they might have what some consider to be an easier ride. Some games where they could maybe try and win out a little more convincingly and try and push towards one of those top spots for their Contenders' berth. Otherwise, they're going to stay back in Trials.
And here's the thing that I think is reassuring if you're Shoes Money Crew. With arguably your 2 hardest fights out of the way, yes, the bracket gets easier, but in both of those very difficult games, the overall map differential for them is -1. That is very easy to come back from. A couple of 3-0s puts them right back into contention for that first and second spot for getting back up into Contenders. So I think by the time we hit Sunday, we're going to be having to do some real number crunching to figure out who needs to beat who and by how much to stop Shoes Money Crew getting up into that top 2 position, frankly.
That's right. And we will be right here, you and I, on that Sunday crunching that math. It's going to be, I think, a nice, messy week of Trials. Sometimes it's like, yeah, these 2 teams obviously have it. The rest of these teams are, frankly, just going to get outmatched. Not this week. Not the way I'm seeing it so far. Way too many map 5s, way too many close games. These guys are going to make us work for it, for sure.
Absolutely. I thought coming into this month of Contenders Trials, this has the potential to be the most dynamic, the most explosive round of Contenders Trials we've seen for a long time, particularly in the EMEA region. And one map into my first broadcast of Contenders Trial season, it's really living up to that one. And to round out this first matchup, Thibble, we are going to be having a little bit of an interview. And in point of fact, it's going to be Kassar joining us from New Kings to talk over that particular victory. Whilst we get them into the lobby and ready to go, we're going to throw it to a quick break, but don't go too far because we're going to be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are now ready to dive into the interview portion of this match. And as promised, joining us fresh off the heels of that victory is Sar from Nuking. So, Sar, congratulations. How are you feeling on the back of that win?
Well, it felt great. I was a little bit scared when they got 2 games, but still I was pretty confident also. But I have insane players in my team, and we managed to win it. So yeah.
Yeah, it looked reverse sweepable for a minute there. Sorry, I'm gonna preempt Thibble here. Sorry, because I'm on a roll. How much of that do you think was down to the adaptation that Shoes Money Crew made of running fees on the Sombra?
Yeah, well, Sombra was a really hard opponent. Well, we had to adapt and kind of swap our rotations and kind of focus Sombra more because she was having a lot of value, especially with the EMP. She was charging a lot and looking for hacks a lot. So at some point we had to look for an engagement like an off angle or anywhere, because we literally can't take the fight when they have Sombra. It just counters our comp, but still we managed to win it anyway.
Yeah, and looking at that Oasis, where you guys really just kind of said, "Nah, we're gonna win this. We're tired of losing these last couple maps." What were the changes that you made, or how did that map enable you to really just end it that easily? It was so decisive.
Well, me and Dulcich like had a hard time against Sombra, but like we noticed on off angle. So as soon as like we look at him like far away, we just look for an engagement, and that's kind of their weak point. Even though Sombra is a really strong opponent, but still, then we just managed to win against it. That's it. We just adapted.
Got it.
So, Sar, looking at your roster and looking at who is on your roster and the fact that you've got ex-Overwatch League talent, people are kind of looking at the New Kings roster and going, well, do these guys have the potential here to really put a challenge towards some of our regular contenders, victors, for example, British Hurricane? Are you thinking that British Hurricane are in your sights at the minute?
Well, for now, we haven't scrimmed like at all, but when the time comes, we'll be ready for British Hurricane because we'll be scrimming more, and then we'll just add up our more synergy. Then we'll just hopefully win.
Okay, I like it.
I like it. All
Well,
right.
okay.
Anything else from you, Phil?
I was going to say that sounds to me like we are out of questions for you, Sar. So thank you very much for joining us. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or give thanks to?
Yeah, well, I'll give a shout out to Ser Majid, benched player. He wasn't playing, and hopefully he'll play Friday. You'll see his talent.
Oh, I just thought of a question actually. We were looking at the roster and going, oh cool, Onigod's playing. Where's Onigod today?
Well, Onigod has some trials. He cannot play for those couple of days, so I'm just filling for the team for now.
Oh man,
and
you did a good job filling.
Yeah, thanks, and hopefully he's coming back. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us for the first half of today's broadcast. Don't worry, though, we do have more Overwatch coming your way very shortly when we are bringing you Adastra per Aspera in their next matchup in Contenders Trials November. We'll be seeing you for that with just a little pause. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with the second half of this evening's games, and it's Adastra Aspera against Caspian, formerly Speedrun. So, two relatively new rosters, I think. Adastra Aspera have been bumbling around. Bumbling is an unkind word. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, they've been in Tier 2, Tier 2.5 for a little while now. I'm going to take back that bumbling. Whereas Caspian, a relatively new name in the scene, again, was formerly Speedrun. You got anything interesting to share with us about these teams, Double?
The interesting thing is that I probably know even less than you about these teams.
God, right, wow.
Having focused on NA for just a moment, you know, my EU education has fallen a bit from the days I ran at Contenders OW. That said, I will talk generally about new teams in that they are often very exciting to watch. They love to try new things and kind of get that wacky edge on their opponents who might have a little more experience. And when two of them clash, much like Houston and Boston, you can end up with some clown fiestas, for sure. So who knows what we'll see with these two.
You can, but I'd like to think, though, that for Caspian, whilst the roster itself is relatively new, these are names that we are used to seeing in Open Division, in Trials, in Contenders proper. So, just going down the list here, Jaru, Weak, Raven, Ido, Starboy. Starboy fairly recently of Clockwork Vendetta and a few other rosters. We've got Vox Nihili, Ex-Oblivioni representatives, Morning Stars. Name a reasonably sufficient, reasonably proficient Tier 2 team for the past year, and these guys have played for one of those teams. So we shouldn't be expecting too much of a clown fiesta from Caspian. I'm fairly certain on that one at the very least.
Sure. Yeah, I like the backline, actually. Starboy and Doggo. Those are both pretty experienced players all the way through. They've been around, like you said, for a long time, playing for a variety of teams. I'd like to think that they have developed some synergy, perhaps over their short tenure together and across all these other teams, kind of knowing each other, talking to each other, sometimes as friends, sometimes as enemies. This sort of Tier 2 shuffle that happens every 6 days or so can really bring some people together. And it looks like Caspian is a collection sort of team. This is a landing point for players perhaps that have left or been cast aside by other organizations and just kind of said, we're all here. You want to just make an Overwatch team and try and get through trials? Yeah, let's see what we can do with that. So I actually like looking at what they've got. I actually like it quite a bit because I think they could turn out something really special.
And looking at Adastra Aspera, the thing that stands out for me is actually an absence here. So a player that I've been following relatively closely over the past year, a player called Eli, who's a Sombra specialist, hitscan generalist, was kind of I don't know if you'd say cornerstone, but certainly a very prominent member of this roster for a little while. Now not on the roster, so they're making substitutions here. Kukabao is going to come in on the sort of Tracer Ash hit scanner role here, previously of Samsung Morningstars, and I think a player with a lot to prove and some fairly big boots to fill in the form of Eli, who's since moved on to the pastures. But the core of Adastra here has been playing together for a little while, so I'd expect them to at the very least be fairly practiced.
Right, and it kind of comes down to a dynamic we see often, right? An established core of players going up against a team of really experienced individuals that maybe haven't developed as much synergy as they might like. Will the sheer mechanical skill of the individuals be able to triumph over the synergy of the core, or vice versa? Obviously, the swaps coming in, kind of adding a little spice to that, like you mentioned with Kukabao here. I almost want to, given the team game nature of Overwatch, I almost want to give the edge in my prediction, I suppose, to Adastra. But the strength and pedigree of the players from Caspian makes me kind of pause. So this could end up being, frankly, a very even game. I hesitate to say it. Not that it's like 2 a.m. for you, like our usual cast, but this one could go for a while.
Yeah, I don't mind quite so much if these EME matches go on for a while, because that still gives me a sensible bedtime. But yeah, the NA ones are a little bit tricky to make. So very thankful for that. And, well, no surprises. Starting off here on Lijiang Tower, that is our first control map. And we are already deep into it. Sim TP strat coming out from Adastra allows them to take White Room here and take early positioning. And it's kind of the control center classic here. You see Ido taking the high ground for now, and Style's going to keep holding this low ground position, holding onto White Room, with the help of the spam damage from the right clicks and, of course, from the turrets blocking off that top entrance. Nobody really making any significant progress just yet, but Adastra are going to have to consider making the rotation here to get onto the point and start getting some counter progress, but Ido with the right click finds Skyle, and in the 5v6, and Astra are going to start to back out or make some rotation, but they're not out of this just yet. Teemo's able to find Ido, and the amplification matrix is up, and Caspian rightly make themselves scarce around it, but very few kills in on the back of it, and as it goes down, that's when the kill count starts to rise. Kookaburra with the double immortality field to nullify the effects of the gravitic flux, but Ido will not be outdone here, Fibble.
No, I mean, so back and forth this entire time. I feel like you've been working overtime here. Mayday, though, and Mayday and Aussie actually deciding, hey, maybe we're going to try and end this fight a little more quickly here. Aussie getting 2 now coming online. Hazok's pushing forward and just creating some space, trying to get the flip over. But this whole time, Caspian are building up the percentage, just stalling on the point as best they can. I also must point out, I'm pretty sure it's Mayday. I'm going to call him out. He's spamming the behind you voice line. I hate people like that. Don't be that guy. But also do whatever you want.
I brought this up on Twitter, and it's all psychological advantage. You can't complain about it because you're just trying to psych out your opponent with voice lines.
I totally respect that. It's just so consistent. I don't know. There's a new fight now. Riptire's coming out. We'll talk about something else.
Riptire to Riptire, Immortality Field currently up, and Kookaburra was going to find one here. IDO taken out of the fight, and with Adastra, Aspera currently in control of the point, that's a massive advantage. Ravens Tire not able to get anything. Pin comes through. Jarry was able to find Teemo here. Flux into Sound Barrier, one nullifying the other, taking its effect completely off the table. Caspian, with that strength of the Sound Barrier at their back, start to pressure, start to move in, start to close the distance. With a gravitic flux of their own, but can't get anything done with it in the meantime. Caspian and Skyle able to get the double Skyle with another one on the board, and a casual fire strike over the shoulder from Teemo secures the fight, and Adastra Aspera now up in control percentage.
And this feels like so different from the Shoes Money Crew New Kings match that we just saw. On Lijiang, they were prioritizing, even on this map, faster engages, like Moira cleaving heals, kind of death ball or like new goats or whatever the heck you want to call it. These guys going for sheer front-loaded damage, the Rhine Sigma double shield, the Junkrats on either side, the Doomfist Sim. Like, this is such a different style, but it favors point presence so much. And Adastra are doing a great job of that, but Ido is turning up.
Ido looking to get the third there, did find 2. Mayday down. Hazox takes themselves down with their own primary fire, and we see the flip come through. For Adastra, it's almost last fight territory for them, and they are coming into this one with some tools to make this work.
Hey, Phil.
One.
Behind you.
Oh, lordy. Oh, man, the psychological advantage you've got over me now is phenomenal.
Look, I did the thing, guys. Do I belong now? Am I cool?
Congrats, you're in Contenders. Teemo closing in with the shatter. The question is, do they know that he's got that ready to go? Kookaburra only finds the immortality field with that Riptire, and that's what we were looking at here for one of the big initiation tools. Instead, it's going to be Braven that comes up with the guts here. Teemo taken down by the Riptire, and Caspian suddenly with ball firmly in their court, and Starboy with a beautifully timed sound barrier keeps his team mostly alive through that. Aussie will get one here, but it's now at 96 to 82. Adastra Aspera on the back foot now. Need to start getting some frags. Need to start buying some point presence. Need to get in and secure these final few picks and get the flip. There's the flip. Teemo interrupted mid-charge there by the rock, and now face-to-face with the immortality field. Walks past the temporary double glazing, robbing any and all value out of it. Teemo drops the hammer. Teemo swings the hammer. Teemo sends Caspian back to spawn. It's 96 to 99. We do have someone currently contesting the point, but that's going to be as far as it goes. But what an opening round, Fibble.
I mean, 99-99, right? It doesn't get much closer than that. It's the little differences, really, that made the difference there. You had almost a perfect mirror, except the Sim versus the Doomfist. And Adastra really made the most of the natural cover of the map to mitigate the effects of Ido, or Ido, excuse me, and just the sheer burst potential, the pick potential that a Doomfist offers. Now looking at Night Market, we're seeing Sombra come out on both sides. The Sim probably just for the TP, maybe also swapping to the Reaper, and looking at a full mirror here, but a Rhine Diva, or actually a Winston Diva perhaps for Caspian. That's very interesting. Focusing for a quicker engages and more burst over the point presence and kind of brawly style that Adastra have been bringing so far.
All right, well, let's see how all this works out. I can't imagine that Jaru's going to have much fun going into a Reaper on this one. Jaru's going to be down. Kookaburra with a focus fire on that one. Ido trying to find Kookaburra and forces out the translocate. In the meantime, though, Adastra have started to make their way over to the point. You can actually see Skyle making the swap there, coming in on a different DPS. In the meantime, though, there's the manual hack onto Teemo on the point. No follow-up on that one just yet. A lot of brawl all around him makes it very difficult to take him down, even through the manual hack. Mayday valiantly diving over towards that health pack, keeps themselves alive and forces Braven into the retreat here. Weak on the Diva here. Closing in on having an ultimate here, but might be a little bit late to the fight as we see them get demexed. In the meantime, though, Make Believe and Braven have done enough to start to turn this fight more in favor of Caspian. Nobody's really managed a solid fight win here, and Adastra Aspera with the coalescence from Mayday will round this out into a win.
I like that Caspian are swapping right away here. They know the disadvantage they have in terms of point presence and recontesting the objective itself. Maybe a little more mobile with that Sombra Tracer dive, but ultimately not enough to withstand the front-loaded damage and presence that Adastra's comp allows. Now going for the full mirror here, but a bit behind in terms of ultimates, but at least they both have the EMP, and they're both pretty close to the sound barrier too. That's a dynamic you have to watch out for in these compositions.
Well, there it is. Trigger pulled nice and quick. It's going to hit 3, but key to this one, Aussie not caught in that EMP. Drops the sound barrier, and the same again. Kookaburra pulls the pin on that particular grenade, and the sound barrier comes out from Starboy. So, all in all, not a lot happening despite the sheer volume of ults being thrown in on that one. Beautiful hack onto Jaru, allows the shield to come down, and the ultimate from Skyle does most of the damage, even if Hazox gets the kill credit on that one. Astra Aspera coming in with a hold on the point.
So the start of that fight was perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Great EMPs, countered out by sound barriers. Both teams kind of left at square one, figuring out how they were going to engage. And that manual hack after the Death Blossom is what busted it open for Adastra.
Well, here's the engage, another hack, and Teemo's going to go down nice and quick on that one. It's Braven with the heavy lifting here. He's curling the irons. He's found the triple. There's the DMEC. It's a hack onto Aussie, and it's a one-way trip to spawn for Aussie. 82-0. This is roughly where we saw the point flip on the previous round in Lijiang, so Adastra Aspera with an option here to come back.
Right, and plenty of ultimates to do so as well. The EMP will build quickly. They have the tank ults, and the sound barrier isn't far behind, but it is behind Starboys. Caspian coming online with both DPS ultimates right now, a little ahead as well in that regard, and they have the point presence, which is huge on this map in these compositions.
Oh, wow. Weak was actually engaged in Sombra checking there, but obviously missed an angle and allowed Kookaburra to get in and get that final little bit of a tick of ult charge ready to go. Braven's going to be holding on to the Death Blossom here. Would really like to combo it with the EMP, and they might be looking to set it up. It's another big EMP, and this time, though, it's either that comes up with a big one, because it's the big one that gets Aussie, so Aussie can't bring out that sound barrier. And now, with both teams having committed the EMP, there is an option here now for Aussie to hold on to the sound barrier and win a fight in more of a neutral.
Right, they can hold on to that, and they have the time, the less and less every second, to get back in here and recontest. Once they cap, they're definitely in last fight territory, but they probably want to pull out a few more ults from Caspian first, and then try and come in with their big combos or their support ultimates or anything like that.
Beautiful bit of scouting there, got the Sombra out of the fight. Sound barrier was incredible here from Aussie. Keeps Skull alive through the damage and allows 2 picks to come through, allowing Astra to start to taxi onto the point and start revving the engines for takeoff here. Beautiful chase from Hazox to take Starboy out of the picture, and here's the flip. It was almost leveled there by Caspian, and now this is last fight territory for both teams.
But good on Caspian not to get too staggered. Run away. You know the fight is lost. You know you won't have much time. You know what you have to use here. The tank ultimate advantage coming online is huge for them, but Kookaburra is close to that EMP.
Valiant F from Jaru's not going to connect on that one. charges through into the back, won't find support. Might have done just enough to displace Mayday. Then it looks like Mayday recovered on that one. Jaru's going to get focused down, attacked on all sides, focused down on all angles. Kukaba has the EMP, just lets it rip the second it comes online, but isn't going to survive to do much more than that. The question is, has that now done enough to allow Adastra to win out the fight? Because the tags are still live. Starboy is able to get in and keep that going that little bit longer, and Mayday, she was not quite there, ready to go, and that's going to be Adastra per Aspera, ready to take the first map in the series.
Well, I think the question about the strong core versus the strong individuals is starting to be answered, or at the very least, we got an answer for Lijiang specifically. That strong core, that synergy, that coordination and presence on the point was a huge edge for Adastra on both of those maps. Once they got set up, it's so difficult to dislodge them, even if your EMP combo is really good, even if you're getting a couple picks to start that fight, it's not necessarily enough. We talked about that in our first match, how you must take advantage of those one-ups that you've got in a fight quickly, because a good team will extend and kite you out and stall it out on the point and do whatever they have to do to pull out that win. And Adastra looked pretty in control there on control.
They absolutely did. I think there's a lot to be said for the attitude and control of we don't have to let this point die. We don't mind just stalling this out as long as possible. Sure, it costs us, we give her a little bit of ult charge, but ultimately, that little bit of difference, 10% here and there in a fight that trades back and forth so often, really starts to make the difference. But we are going to be moving away from control, obviously, onto our payload map for today's games, which will again be Rialto. And I think we are just getting ready to dive right into this one. And Thibault, I don't know that I've seen enough of either of these teams so far to really have a read on what we're actually going to be seeing coming out here.
Sir, I also don't think we've seen enough of Rialto today. And I would love to see a little more. No full holds here, please. Let's go ahead and get into the streets phase, get into some of the changes that come with the geometry of this map throughout its different phases. I can actually say I'm not too surprised by the soldier picks. I think he is really good on these high ground focused maps. Rialto has tons of great angles for him, a little more reliable perhaps than the Widowmaker, especially with teams coming out with the disruption of a Wrecking Ball and the shielding presence of a Sigma. I definitely think this is a good move from both of them, assuming we see what is looking to be a mirror here so far. And this appears to be, given these two games that I've seen, which is definitely a large enough sample size, kind of the meta, the established way these teams want to be approaching at least a map like Rialto. So let's see what these two can do in the mirror as we get underway.
It's going to be Adastra starting out here on the offense. So it's going to be down to one of these high mobility heroes, the Tracer or the Wrecking Ball, to really get into a position to start to disrupt and start to pressure and make space. So we're going to see Kukabao on the Tracer, considering taking this high ground approach. Wants to wait for the rest of the team to get into a little bit closer proximity. He's actually going to look to... Thought we were going to see the dive come through with Teemo in tandem there, but instead sending up Teemo just to draw and to divert attention. Here's the rotation now coming in full with a nice big roll through, won't secure the knockdown, and Teemo almost pays for that with their life on this one. Kukabao finds the opening pick, Braven's going to go down, and Kukabao is now content just to push this payload around this first corner, and the pressure is on in a big way. High ground control now for Adastra Aspera, and Caspian having to cede ground.
I feel like Caspian didn't take advantage of their high ground at all. They had a brief hold there for a moment, make-believe telling me to shut the heck up. I'll take down Hazax myself. I don't care if I have high ground or not. But I feel like they could have maybe set up for another better fight rather now than having to hold in the courtyard and wait for Adastra to regroup and kind of lose that advantage. And as you see, Adastra is potentially looking at setting up on that high ground themselves. So a weird strategic move from Caspian, but so far they're not completely floundering. They're still making some holds, getting some picks, things like that. It's not over yet.
Kukabao is closing in on having this pulse bomber and with significant lead over Braven. In fact, those last couple of ticks of engagement there, getting most of the way into that one. And Teemo is being forced right the way back over towards point B, which, we didn't actually see in our first match today. So nice at least to get a little bit of a window on that one. Kukabao finds Starboy with Force Bomb in the meantime, and it's a nice run back here from Teemo, now back at full health. Kukabao's not going to survive with Focus Fire from IDO, but Transcendence now out from both team. So, no big sustained ults available for either team. Arguably, Aussie, with the close in on the rallies, the next big one to look out for. IDO's making the rotation onto the flank, pops the tactical visor, which I didn't realize you got in third-person mode, and Teemo goes in to divert all of that focus fire away and stop that ultimate finding any real value. And Astra Aspera currently, arguably, in control for now as Hazok secures the double, and Kookaburra looks to work down Make-Believe and stop the contest coming back through. Less than a meter to go on the payload, but Task is going to drop the minefield here and find Teemo. Is this going to be enough space now for Adastra Aspera to close the gap? Yes, it is. Let's see some point B Rialto.
An expensive, really, defense from Caspian. They were just trying to make it work and get the best they could, and they did burn a good amount of time and pull out a few ultimates as well. It kind of extended long enough to kind of get back into the cycle again. Make-Believe now coming online. Both supports actually for Caspian coming online, as well as the pulse bomb from Braven. Kookaburra not far behind him, but not much else to work with for Adastra. So Caspian, if they're smart, could use this ult advantage that they have, push up aggressively, and set up a hold here before the cart gets too much further into streets.
They've already given up the high ground position here. Luckily, they're going to have the rally and the transcendence, and a big old stickeroonie there from Braven to find the double. Ido with the follow-up, and I was about to give them flack Bibble for having given up all that forward-facing high ground control, but they bounce back, they hit the trampoline, and they come back flying.
You know, that's why they're playing and we're casting, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
They are pretty good at this. They understand what's going on, and like I said, using those couple ultimates to really carve out a space for themselves, set up on this high ground now for sure. Not like the first point where they kind of gave it up, or like you almost predicted there. It looks like they are setting up strong here, but they also have to keep an eye on the cart. It's moving right now. It's just going.
Yeah, just sent Teemo down to get some movement and to split focus and split attention here as the rest of Adastra climb the stairs and start to make this second approach. Ido's going to have the tactical visor here, but whether or not he's going to be given the space to make use of it, well, that remains well and truly to be seen. Task takes a lot of flak on the way through, momentarily resting up on the terracotta lintels. Force by in Kookaburra won't find anything with that one, but the damage has now been done. Hazok's with the triple. Raven's going to get one there, but a little bit too late, I think.
Right, and Astra coming online, in addition to just winning that basically off the pulse bomb and sheer mechanics alone, they're also coming online with almost 5 ultimates. Caspian are going to have their work cut out for them, but that Transcendence could get a lot of work, as well as this visor from Ido.
High ground tactical visor, you love to see it, but there's a lot of shielding and a kinetic grasp in the way, as well as Make-Believe with her Transcendence here. So, might have been a big commitment here from both sides in terms of ultimates, and it's Astra Aspera that are coming in with the ultimates to play with. Task's going to start things off here with a power driver, minefield, initiation with a roll through. Won't find anybody into the mines with that. And in the meantime, Mayday plays Minesweeper and gets rid of the hazards off the cart. 2 meters left to go on the payload. And we're looking to see Adastra Aspera in the lead in the team fight. Aussie with a last second health back there to keep the low health members of their team alive. And we see 2 minutes, 35 seconds on the time bank, moving into point C.
So obviously Adastra have looked pretty in control here, moving consistently, losing a fight here or there, but then regrouping and bringing it back. But Caspian are burning a good amount of time. 2 minutes left on this last phase is holdable for sure, especially when you look at the ultimates they're bringing online. The Flux, the Rally for a little extra beef, countered though against Adastra's, and Mayday is going to invalidate all of that by taking Ido's head off at the shoulder.
Man, I feel like today has been the story of just not challenging Zens on the soldier, because boy, that's a matchup that can go pretty wrong pretty quick. Mayday's able to find the second here, but Caspian have managed 2 picks so far in this team fight, and Hazok is out of the fight. Weak, with a particularly weak looking barrier there, has to retreat and come back into the fight once that's a little bit more strong and ready to go. But Ido finds Mayday, and Caspian, despite looking a little bit rocky on that defense, look like they've mounted it for now. And Adastra Aspera already burnt a minute off their point C offense.
A minute off their bank and a lot off their ultimates too. They are close to a few of them. Syle's trying to figure out what he's going to play. Looks like settling on the McCree, perhaps to counter out the Tracer. I'm okay with this move. The CC in general against a composition like Caspian, it's not a bad idea. But they're at a significant, or at least for now, significant ult disadvantage, and will have to push through that before they can really mount their last round the bend.
Raven's looking for the stick, catches them all grouped up. only finds Hazox, but that's enough. The damage is done. That's another 20 seconds of respawn time for you, my friend. But Caspian decide to press the advantage, and they will find Mayday. Teemo's able to get out, but this is great stagger work from Caspian.
Yeah, great stagger there. That's an extra 10 seconds right off the bat. Knocking Mayday out. Pretty slow, you know, floating along as quickly as you can, but that's time you have to spend regrouping. We're approaching 30 seconds, and Adastra have a few ultimates to work with, especially in a sustained fight, but that sustained fight is not guaranteed, because Caspian look like they're ready and willing to flip the switch, and they have the ultimates to make that happen.
Ido moves back with Tactical Visor, wants as large an angle through onto Adastra as they come through as can possibly be managed here. We see the Pulse Bomb come out from Kukural, didn't find anything, and Teemo gets the minefield off, but unfortunately trades his life for the opportunity. Giles able to find a lead few here, and Task drops their own minefield on the point, and Ido is swinging wildly looking for targets here. They all make themselves scarce as Skyle walks into the crosshairs of Make Believe. IDO doing the safety dance on the health pack, and it's Make Believe with the frags in the final seconds of the fight. Taking out Kukubao, playing the angle here, wanting to just snipe through that small gap and make them wish they'd never dared challenge them on this hero. But still starting to see some picks come through, but it's going to be Braven that finds them, taking both supports out from under the legs of the Adastra Aspera table. Hazox is down. The respawn, the rewind is taken off the table now from Kukubao, who's valiantly trying to keep this alive and tagging in, but that's as far as the payload's going to go.
Nice hold from Caspian. Good understanding of engagements, and when they needed to flip that switch, run in, use some ultimates maybe, but secure extra time and secure all the space they need to secure that hold. 56.89 meters is the win condition here for Caspian. They must push that little bit farther than Adastra were able to. It looks doable given how they've played here so far, but the defense, the geometry of the defense on Rialto could give Adastra that little bit of an advantage, much like it gave Caspian, setting up on that high-grounded streets, setting up around this corner in that last section of the map. You know, Adastra, it's certainly not over for them yet. This was not decisive despite the hold. Eichenwalde is one of those maps where sometimes you can just put up some strong defenses, and that's okay. It can still go either way here for them. They just need to be able to maintain their composure and stick together when they need to and spread out when they don't, to avoid those big pulse bombs, because Braven so far, you know, we maybe talk about Kukubao coming in and filling in some big shoes and doing good work, but Braven has been there to match them the whole time.
We are going to be seeing, I think, what is looking to be the flavor of the month here for Contenders Trials, coming out yet again for both teams. And I actually don't think there's a lot to choose from any player on any role here. Nobody is making a standout performance over and above their mirror. So this is, as you've hinted at, a map that could still go the distance here. Adastra Aspera certainly have it within their power to mount the defense here and mount a fuller hold, particularly when we get to high ground advantage. But that's going to be down to somebody taking a big leg up over the opponent here.
Yeah, it's going to be close either way. I think it's going to come down to those pulse bombs and to their ultimate combos as well. Whose Transcendence gets the most value? Who combos their tank ults perhaps more effectively? We saw that to great effect in our last match, but we haven't seen much of those combos or like plans from either team just yet.
Kukubao forced to rewind on that one, and this is an unorthodox holding position here for Adastra up on the high ground, and it's already costing them, because if they lose this fight, there's a reasonable chance that this is the only fight they're going to get here. And the payload is almost at the checkpoint here. And Astra Aspera, I think, have made a little bit of a miscalculation here, because there's nobody to stop this. We do have players up on the high ground, but they're not going to be given the chance to actually get in and contest, as Task manages the short-range pile driver and takes Mayday out of the fight, rolls through and prevents Teemo from launching themselves on the carts. IDO has the high ground here and forces the rewind, almost gets the predict there. Pulse bombs out, finds one, but it is too little, too late. And Adastra Aspera, that was a disastrous hold on it.
Yeah, Task definitely took them to task, you could say. Just a great, like, you saw everyone grouped up there on the high ground ready to drop, and Task says, hey, what if I just kind of roll in and then stomp your Zenyatta to death and then just kind of walk away and do the thing that I do, because I'm a Wrecking Ball player and I'm here to make your life miserable.
Miserable.
And that was exactly what they needed because they had already pushed the cart so far by forcing the fight over on the left side instead. And now they're just pushing up and doing what they got to do to keep that cart moving. It's already halfway through streets.
Yeah, Timo and Task both bit off a little more than they could chew on that one. But with the rallying effect from Starboy, they're in a position now to take this high ground position on the top of the stairs, which is traditionally one of the hardest places to break on this map. And Adastra Aspera have now kills on the board. And if you want to hold anywhere on streets, it's this corner and the corner just following. So this is exactly the burst of momentum that we needed from Adastra if we want to see them take the hold here.
I like Braven backing up to the cart, getting that little extra meter or so before being taken out. That flux from Weak was not the play. He felt he could go for something clutch, and I respect the drive, but he was way too low. Sile with the tac visor online already, easy enough to pick him out as he floated up into the air like a nice balloon, waiting to be shot down. And now Caspian do have a lot of ultimates, but so do Adastra, and they have the positional advantage.
That's a 1-for-1 trade, but with Make Believe having had that Transcendence online, I'm liable to interpret that was a worse trade for Caspian, although they've started to push back with the kill onto Timo. Kookabout down as well now. Azox with a big rock interrupts Starboy, and Aussie gets the follow-up finisher. And it looks like Adastra Aspera, despite being a little bit battered, a little bit broken, a little bit bruised here, might just be in a position to mount the hold. But Timo's going to go down. And it looks like Adastra Aspera have over-committed here. But at the very least, they are making Caspian pay for every single meter of progress here.
Make Believe with the Transcendence might come back to bite them. Mayday now significantly ahead, and Hazok's coming online again with the Flux to combo perhaps with the Pulse Bomb or the Minefield here from Timo. So Adastra could have an easy time of this, but Caspian are still pushing the point. They could still push up and kind of deny that space, or just cap it outright if the contest does not come through strong enough.
Ooh. That was nicely avoided there by Ido. I thought he was going to be given a helping hand there, lifted up in the air where he's got a bit of a better angle on people. He's actually able to get out of that one and keep it going, but it's going to be Adastra Aspera that find the kills as the fight starts to evolve here. And again, this is a really, really good place to be holding. You have time for the payload to make its way back to these corner stairs.
A little expensive for Adastra, but they do have the Transcendence, which is still such a huge advantage, and they're coming online with the Visor as well. If they position themselves smartly, Sile could get a lot of value out of that. Caspian, though, will have the Rally for a little extra beef, as well as the Flux and the Pulse Bomb, perhaps to combine, again, like I mentioned for the last fight.
There it is. Rally starting to stack the armor on top of Caspian, making it just that little bit harder for Scout to get anything done with his tactical visor, which is now online, but taken out by the Pulse Bomb from Braven. Ido playing on the low ground for now. And I think just looking for basically anybody to stick this crossover right now. But Adastra Aspera have made themselves pretty scarce. They're playing hold up in this room on the right-hand side, and this may have worked out particularly poorly for them because they weren't there to surge onto the cart to keep it contested. And now we're down to under 3 minutes on the clock for Caspian to move it just a little over halfway towards the end of C.
Right, it's a great position for Caspian, but the engagement position for them, they had so much time to rack up all the armor from the rally. Generally, you want to send in like the Wrecking Ball or something and try and split people up so they don't get as much of that armor. Now, though, Adastra going for some huge swaps. The Rhine Diva now, the Reaper Sombra, an entirely different look for them. They're keeping the Brigitte because she has the rally, but they're going to have to see if this brawly style is going to be enough to overcome the disruption, and the Transcendence coming online soon for Make.
And they've somehow got to navigate this minefield, traverse the minefield to get themselves actually in a position to keep the point contested. There's going to be the rally out, and Ido with the tactical visor will more or less counteract that, but will secure the D-Mech, and the Pulse Bomb comes through from Braven to take Hazox out of the fight. IDO now has a line onto Skyle, who is a long way from having any ultimates really to speak of here, and will get focused down here. It was a last-minute brawl from Adastra to keep this going, but it was a little bit too last-minute. They just needed a little more gas in the tank.
Right, I mean, I feel like Adastra always felt that they had a little more time to mount one more defense, and Caspian said, we're not going to give you that. We're not going to let you just set up and do whatever you want. We're going to push up. We're going to use the ult advantage that we have. If we don't have one, we're going to try and just push in the neutral and catch you unaware. So we're never going to fight on tempo. And in Overwatch, there's a rhythm that develops over the course of this. You expect fights to happen here, here, and here. And if it doesn't happen in that way, a lot of teams really struggle to get into that rhythm or not get caught off guard. And Caspian knew and did a great job of that all the way through their attack there and never let Adastra really recover. So great on them, good usage of ultimates, good positioning throughout, great engagements all the way through. And this is tied up. This is nice and close.
And I think on the subject of matching a rhythm, Adastra kind of put themselves on the back foot to start with by having a solid 8-bar rest period on their defense here by giving up so much space. I understand the idea of, we'll take a high ground that isn't so easily contested, but Caspian were able to just navigate through that and gain a ridiculous amount of free cart push without having to worry about that contestation. So I do wonder if that was a misstep that is going to come back to bite Adastra in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Adastra felt like they always had a little more time to set up the perfect defense. Let's get that nice high ground that we really want, the one we think that we can set up the best defense for, gain the most time. That's not a bad idea. That's not an unsound strategy by any means. But when the other team says, it doesn't matter, we don't care, we're going to flank around, go do something else, your precious high ground or your perfect little defensive position is not actually that perfect, and here's how we're going to show you that. Suddenly that entire strategy breaks down fast. We do see a swap here coming through though, as we get into Hanamura for map 3. We are looking at a swap task, has been taken to task, I suppose, and Jaru is coming in return. Probably less of the Wrecking Ball, maybe a little more of the Reinhardt or even the Winston. Jaru's been around for a bit and he loves those beefy frontliners, so curious to see what to the table as we get into this map.
Yeah, when I think Jaru, I do tend to think Reinhardt, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them coming out on that role here. Although, again, given what we've seen, even up to Hanamura in our previous match, it has tended to be, outside of a little bit of cheese comp on Shu's Money Crew side, the Wrecking Ball and Sigma, or the Wrecking Ball and Diva here. So, clearly a different plan in mind is what this says to me if Jaru's coming in.
Oh, yeah. And these first two maps have shown that both of these teams do not necessarily play the same way New Kings or Shu's Money Crew do. Whether that's good or bad, well, we'll see when they start playing those teams. But at the moment, they seem more comfortable swapping away from the flavor of the month, the one that we actually see Adastra on right now, and Caspian especially have not been afraid to get a little cheesy with it, pull out that cheese fountain and hope that it doesn't start slinging the cheese around, or what that was like. I have no idea what that guy was doing.
He did crack that, by the way. He did get that right the second time around.
He did. I did see that as well. You had to melt the cheese more first, I guess.
Yeah,
something like that. I've never understood the appeal of cheese fountains, but hey, in Overwatch, I imagine they're quite popular. So looking at the May sim, the sim may be just sticking around for the early TP, but maybe they TP to point. Shu's Money Crew tried this on Hanamura as well. So there's precedent. This could work.
Yeah, the point is TP in, wall off the point, get some early cap, but that is a heck of a roll through. Weak not able to follow in and actually gets demeched here. But now, Adastra, Caspian are in a position to actually get onto the point and start getting capture progress. In fact, 2 ticks already given over here. This has been a blistering offense, and Aspera have a lot of work to do to drag this back from the brink. Make Believe's going to go down, and that was just so casual, so stylish from Skyle. Little flick to the left, out with the Helix rocket, down with Jaru, and that's where we mount the hold.
Oh, nice jump, too. The evolution of Soldier. Whenever he comes back into the meta, you start to see people relearning the more advanced mechanics of the hero. And he has way more mobility and way more utility than you think. And with the changes to his aim mechanics as well, these guys who are used to, spread transfers, whoa, that TP. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to any of that. That was amazing. What an engage here from Caspian.
Yeah, top left-hand side, I think, potentially caught Adastra napping on this one. Raven now looking just to focus on Teemo, slow him down and stop this spin cycle going, but they've already lost Jaru here. The damage has not been quick enough, the kills have not been rapid enough, except, of course, unless you're Aussie, who gets the quick double here, secures the DMEC and Adastra. Fool them once, shame on you. Fool them twice, not going to happen.
Right, yeah, we thought maybe they had been caught a bit off guard. They were on the whole other side of the point and retreating into the room that we see now. But they were actually just waiting to regroup and re-engage as quick as they could. And great on them to set up the angles right, to set up and push forward with confidence right away, and get in again. It looks like Caspian are trying again for a TP, maybe in a whole different
We're going for the third option. Rotate to the right-hand side and TP up. Oh, not even going for the high ground. We're just going straight onto point here. What this has allowed them to do, though, is for Braven to actually get the final bits and pieces on board for the Blizzard. We TP across the point here, drop the Blizzard, the Flux comes out, and so far it's only Mayday that's going to go down. The Immortality Field from Make Believe is going to keep everybody alive through that Gravitic Flux, and out comes the Amplification Matrix. Teemo's going to go down here, and now Make Believe can just stand at the back and free fire in. And now Caspian are finally back in control of the point. They found the one angle that Adastra Aspera were not ready for them to take, and they are going to secure the cap here. And as they move into the next phase here, they will have both the photon barrier and the sound barrier. They are loaded for barriers here today.
And the Flux as well coming online soon too. They're gonna have to see, do they push before the Zen, or do they think that Mayday already has trans? He is very close, so probably build it before I even get it, but they're already on point.
Man, I love this wall as well. It gives them the smallest possible point to play with here. It means that Caspian really have to close the distance if they want to start to get anything done. But very patient here from Sky, waits it out. Now has the tactical visor on the high ground, ready to go. Sound barrier from Starboy. Now they want this aggressive push. Pulse Bomb comes out, but Weak is able to get that with the kinetic grasp, and Skyle didn't find anything with the tactical visor, so it's back down to good old-fashioned primary fire for Skyle. Takes Make Believe out of the fight, takes Jaru out of the fight, takes Braven out of the fight here, and we see Caspian take nearly all of the point, but in the final few seconds of progress, a stop is put to the push.
All right, if I'm Caspian, I'm still pretty happy with that. You have 91.7%. If you get no further, you at least have that. But also, on your next attempts, which you have 3 minutes to try, you only need that last tick to win. Pull out what you can from Adastra as quick as you can, build up as quick as you can, but they've also made a lot of swaps. I don't know about the Orisa, just because I hate her as a hero. I despise her so much. I was in Orisa jail for a very long time. But hey, they're trying something. They're trying to set it up, and Braven says, hey man, I don't care what tanks you're playing, I'm just gonna go kill Kukpa, because I have nothing better to do. Get in, do whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah, luckily for Adastra, the rotation here from Caspian is going to be slow enough that Kukabao will be back in the fight with that Pulse Bomb ready to go. And Azog's actually got the Flux off there, I believe, got interrupted, so that never came through. Kukabao finds 2 with Pulse Bomb, and it's cleanup duty. Ido, you can do the safety dance all you want, my friend. You are not going to be winning a 3v1.
Right, a good opening there, but Adastra clapping back with ultimates aplenty. Caspian obviously a little behind because of the swaps they've made. Jaru not even getting that much on the Orisa. I respect that they're trying it. I don't necessarily know what they're going for here, besides a little more presence, but I almost feel a Reinhardt would do the same thing. Maybe hoping that the Fortify will help prevent a little more disruption from Teemo, who will definitely be trying a little bit of that. And Caspian, not much to work with. 2 minutes to go. I wonder if they really try here, or if this is more of an eco push.
Minefield's going to come out early here from Teemo, and he gets the rundown on Starboy with primary fire, traps them all up nicely. There's the 3k for Adastra. Caspian, good try, back to spawn, rethink it, have a word with Jaru about this Orisa would be my suggestion.
I don't even know if he was the problem in that last one. They kind of just walked into a hallway with a minefield, and there wasn't much more to do after that. They can't even rotate quickly enough to the high ground to set up, I think, what they want, what their plan is to do, which is set up Ido with the barrier from Orisa and just have him pop visor and do what he can. Take down the squishies or something like that. Of course, that's not going to work with Make Believe getting the pick early on the one person who can really negate that. So this might actually be Caspian's chance. They have to go in quickly, though, because the spawn advantage is definitely going to favor the defenders.
Man, this is big, actually, because Ido's going to be able to take the high ground here with the tactical visor. And everybody quickly making themselves scarce here. Braven's able to get the Pulse Bomb in and deal with Sky on Ido. Maintains this high ground position. No kills in the back of that just yet, but IDO still on the high ground, able to find something here. It's Braven versus Kukabao, the Tracer, 1v1, with one Tracer substantially closer to a nice little friendly area that will give them all of their HP back. Skyle brings out the tactical visor here, but it might be too little, too late. We see them just about reach parity on where they've got this 0.2 before, and I think Caspian now have the point firmly in their grasp, and it's all about Adastra Aspera trying to stem the bleeding. Caspian able to take Skyle out of the fight, and the Transcendence buys space for Aussie to risk Skyle back into the fight. We're going to lose Teemo here as well. Make Believe spamming from long range. Ido with the double. We are about to hit overtime here on the cap. There's the tag back in from the mercy of Aussie just to get us in, and they actually avoid getting this into overtime with just one whole blank second in the bank.
And that 1 second could make a lot of difference down the line. We'll see how much of an impact it has. Of course, the hold could be a little fuller, and we could never even have to worry about that. But it can also come into play in a big way if we start looking into extra rounds, getting in that extra minute and one whole second. You never know. That extra second sometimes is really all you need.
Yeah.
So good on Caspian here, capping in the end, taking a little more time perhaps than they wanted, but still getting the job done. Finally, getting onto point with the Orisa, setting up just the way they wanted. That was the plan for sure. Get over there, just stand there and look pretty. The Yakpung special, I call it, because he was so good at just playing Orisa and standing still. And that's sometimes all you needed to do as Orisa back then. So
Exist.
I like it.
Find value in existing. It's very zen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's there's some philosophy there that I won't get into because I'm just a history major and I didn't care much for that. But I like. Let's talk actually about Jaru now on the Roadhog. Going for some picks here, perhaps predicting some small changes for Adastra, like the Echo, or maybe just trying to catch out the squishy support line that has kind of been the flavor of the month, as mentioned. The Zen Brig or the Zen Mercy now, it's looking like potentially, are very susceptible to a juicy hook from our favorite porcine friend.
Both teams here looking like they want to be playing this pick style composition, slightly different approaches to it, but when you look at what is coming out from both teams, it's not about sustain, it's about getting in, getting some quick kills and rolling the point that way. So Adastra on their attack here now. Bit of a stage here just before the big doors into Hanamura Castle proper. And Timo to run through will unfortunately receive that Orb of Discord. Waits that out and is ready to go tag onto point and just buy some focus, turn some attention towards the point.
Nice back and forth here. Both teams really trying to figure out who's going where or what's going next. Waiting perhaps for that Roadhog hook to come out before they walk in. No one wants to get picked first off a Roadhog hook. It's frankly a little embarrassing. So waiting for that to go down could be the go button at Astra we're looking for. Mayday going down is not what they were.
Yeah, not a great start, and Braven with the second. We'll still see Adastra take some positioning on the point here. It's going to be good for them. Getting towards some ult charge, but I don't think it's going to go much further than that just now. The advantage here is that Kukabao has the Pulse Bomb online and ready to go, and Pulse Bombs have been pretty effective so far in this match.
Right, you still have to watch out for the Biotic Grasp, but that's really only one cooldown, and then after that, you're kind of free reign, assuming you get past the shield. Weak using that nice Sigma tech. I think McGravy made that, I don't remember. Actually, I think it was Icy. Icy made it, but McGravy made it famous in the Overwatch League, so shout out to both of them, both amazing. Dropping from that high ground, though, kind of backing up a bit, understanding he doesn't want to get caught out by these mobile heroes. That Adastra are bringing to bear.
Oh no, that's really awful. Timo was just about to get ready to set up that particular play, and Braven's able to find Hazox here, stopping this in its tracks. And now there's a risk that Timo could get found out here. Even if he survives and gets through, it's going to be ult charge given over to somebody that he'd rather not give it over to.
Certainly. And there's not a lot of time. I mean, 2 minutes is plenty of time to get things done, especially with that opening pick, but they are still losing the clock. They gotta go.
These are some really scatty kind of fights here. Nobody's really making any bold statements. It's fragments of poetry. What we want now, guys, is the full book. And Starboy coming in big with a big poetry there of the rally. Ido, high ground position away from the point with the tactical visor. Buys some space, but not a lot of else with it. In the meantime, Starboy's able to find Timo here, and now we see Jaru making their way back from the point. We'll see them coming in with a whole hog in the not-too-distant future, but it's make-believe with the double for Caspian. Weeks able to find Mayday on that one as well, and Caspian mount the defense. Not even a single tick given over in nearly 2 minutes.
Right, Adastra looks so convincing on map 1, stumbled a bit on Rialto, and now they're looking a bit flapped. perhaps losing, even when they start out with a nice pick, kind of struggling to get their engages settled and decide when they want to go, losing tons of time. There's less than a minute, and they have 3 ultimates coming online, but huge pick potential here still for Caspian to completely stop this in its tracks.
There's the Pulse Bomb down. Nice little bash away there from Aussie, and Week's able to find Hazux. Braven finds Sky, and that's it. Guys, and Astra, you've got to reset nice and quick. Nice hook from Jaru, and holds on to the whole hog, ready for this final fight.
I don't think Timo intended it, but shout out his get down, Mr. President, dropping right in front of the Zenyatta and saving an extra 10 seconds perhaps of stagger, which could come in pretty clutch here. Ido now on the flank knows that Kukubao's kind of hanging out and looking for that opening, and close to the pulse bomb, no less. It's such a high value target with 10 seconds left.
Man.
Make believe though, getting the opening.
Man, it's not a great position to be in if you're Skyle. There's no res available. It's going to be down to Aussie to try and close the distance and take Jaru out of the fight, and gets that with a little bit of help there from the trusty Zenyatta. Back up. Kukabao finds the double, has the pulse bomb. The minefield now covers the point in its entirety, and it has taken them down into the bowels of overtime. But on their final push in, Adastra, Aspera find the gas in the tank, and we're going to see a little more Hanamura.
I am pinching the bridge of my nose because Caspian were doing so well there, and Jaru just kind of hung out and said, hey, come over here with all your like CC people that can like stun me out of my heal and everything and keep me from getting away. I'll give you guys each like half an ultimate, and then you can just roll right on to point, 6v5. That sounds good.
So what you like about Jaru, he is a nice, obliging guy when it comes to that
He's
kind
so
of thing.
Kind. We really have to. We should nominate him for the Internet Hulk Award for feeding the needy, because boy howdy, that was a feed.
And now he's going to hear this, and he's going to come right for you.
I love you, Jaru, but man, that was not the play. If you can make up for it by getting Timo here, I'll forgive you. You're fine. You're square at that point.
Very close. I'm amazed Timo is still threatening this fight, frankly, because he's not got the adaptive shields. He's got 52 HP, and Caspian just find him, and they roll over Adastra here. And now Adastra have 2 minutes, and Caspian managed to get on their push in almost all of the point capped, so Adastra need to find some momentum now.
They did sneak a tick there while that fight was happening. I did not actually notice that. And Caspian, they have 4 ultimates, but Adastra coming online with more than a few of their own. Some nice combos here. The Transcendence is on either side to cancel out some of the pickier ultimates, or perhaps even keep Jaru from being as effective on a hook combo or something like that. Of course, if Make Believe gets caught out early, then it's going to completely negate all these fancy words that I'm putting together.
Oh, yeah.
But you never know. Braven here looking for the flanking pulse bomb, looking to shut this down early. But Adastra are so ready to just go straight to the point. They get another tick off of that.
Man, that was brave from IDO. Very low health when they actually started that particular ultimate. Pulse bomb through. Braven finds Mayday with a pulse bomb. Make Believe's going to get Aussie here. And whilst Adastra, you're right, may have gotten a tick here, it's generally this final tick that's the hardest to manage, particularly when you are down below a minute on the clock.
Shout out Make Believe, let them know. Drop the emote on their corpse. Why not? It's Overwatch. We get a little crazy with it sometimes. But Adastra sneaking both of those ticks for 3. You can't let that slide, man. You got to be on top of that. Caspian now in a position, there's 45 seconds, and they've been holding really well. But if they give up another tick for free, then they're really going to be kicking themselves here. So, kind of shape up, guys. Come on. There's the objective. You may have heard of it. You're supposed to defend it or something. Something like that. I don't know.
Well, we'll see the rally out from Aussie. We've already had that pulse bomb committed. Timo looking to stay alive for that final 3% of the ultimate, but won't get it. Jaru was able to take him down, and it's the Aussie show up on the high ground with a long-range whip flail, taking Make Believe out of the fight. And Adastra, Aspera look like they're in a good position to make this happen. We've got 9 seconds left to go on the clock, and oh no, Week's able there to keep it going that little bit longer, and that's it going over. Look at this, 1 second difference in time bank between these two teams. 1 second, Thibble.
And back again to that 1 second. Sometimes, man, it makes all the difference. So I suppose we'll see as we get into these extra rounds. But I really feel if Caspian hadn't given up those first 2 ticks for free, that could have been a very different fight. Going into overtime for sure, which, doesn't really matter at this point. We're getting into extra rounds anyways. But potentially setting up the stall, bringing it back. This is 2CP, man. Sometimes you bring it back off of some crazy fights that you were originally losing. Because the game mode, that's just kind of how it goes. So if they hadn't given up those 2 ticks, 2/3 of such an important objective. They could be a map up right now. We could be heading into, map 4 and match point. Now they have to go the extra rounds. They have to do this all again, set up a hold. Maybe their strategies are, potentially seen through a little more at this point. The Mace Symmetra, is that really going to work twice? You have to wonder.
I think there's an argument, Dibble, that it didn't really work that well the first time round. I would expect Adastra are ready for it this time. I'd certainly hope they're ready for it this time.
Right, yeah. I mean, Caspian only got it on their third try off that long rotation, and they don't have a lot of time to really try all these different options now. You have 1 minute, maybe 2 pushes if you're very lucky, but really only one, properly good one to make something happen. And Timo is scouting this out already. He knows what's going on, and he's passing all this info along.
And he actually did this in the last rotation through as well, waiting for them to set up, get the TP down and split them up by making the roll through. Completely interrupts that, splits the team, and the teleporter is now down as well. But with 40 seconds left on the clock, Caspian can't afford to back out and try this again. They've just got to do this the old-fashioned way. It's manpower here, huffing it to the point and hoping to make the fight work there. They are being slow about this because they're going to leave themselves with not a lot of time to play with. They're going to wait for cooldowns to come back and start to push in as we approach the 20-second mark. Nice wall from Braven. Will stop the recon test coming through. Gets the freeze onto Timo. Will find the charge. Won't get the kill just yet. And it looks like Timo escaped barely with his life here. No tick gain just yet. And a lot of work here for Make Believe to do to keep Caspian alive through the battering and the bullying that Astra Aspera are throwing the way of Caspian. They've already lost their tanks. And Make Believe might have the coalescence. But there's only so much one Moira with one beam of light can do to keep your fight rumbling on in. And Caspian put all of their eggs in a cheesy basket, and it did not come up in a cheesy omelet for them.
And we really have to shout out Timo there, because they had this plan. They were going to go for the same old thing. Timo knew from the last time what they were going to try. Set up, did not get noticed somehow, hanging out right next to them behind that little pillar divider support thing for the overhead bridge. Broke up that play entirely. Forced Caspian to completely rethink their approach, go for the raw rotation. Even with the Lucio, that's difficult to do. Burning time, waiting for the cooldowns, all the time in the world for Adastra to get set up on that defense and stuff it. Now they have a minute and 1 second to secure 1 tick and go up in this match. Though I will say, I'm feeling it in my bones, in my sea of chi. I'm feeling a draw.
Yeah, I was
Just
wondering
throw
if that's
that
what
out
I could smell. Yeah, I can smell the draw here as well. Looks like, and you don't want to fall into the trap of going, oh my god, look at this crazy thing they've got locked in offensive spawn. Wouldn't that be funny for them to walk out on? They were at least contemplating the sim strat there. They were thinking about it.
Yeah, and I can respect that. I think it's not the worst move. Sim is not strictly a cheese pick these days. She is good. She does get value. I just don't know if I like it because of how much time it takes and how easy it is to disrupt. That said, Jaru is not on the Wrecking Ball, he's on the Hog. So there's no chance for them to do a Timo special. However, the scouting from Braven, they know what's going on, they know what's coming, they're ready for this TP.
Ooh, looks like we're going for the straight into the point, and the wall comes up, the turrets come out, and this is exactly how you want this particular plan to work. It's a freeze onto Jaru, it's a freeze onto Weak, Starboy's down, and Braven is going to have to come up with a monstrous performance here to make this go that much further, and that is as far as that's going to go. And Caspian, my guys, that's how you do the sim strat.
Right. I mean, it's despite the scout, despite me bringing up, oh, they know what's coming, they're going to be ready. They just weren't. And that wall was so good at splitting off the people who were ready to contest. They didn't want to be right there on the teleporter. They wanted to walk in right after, but the wall said, dude, you're going to have to go around and we're going to be ready for you by the time you walk over there. So good on Astra for saying, yeah, I mean, we might all know this is coming, but we're going to do it well enough that it doesn't matter that you know. We're going to do it right. We're going to show you how this is done. We're going to be decisive. We're going to melt you all down or freeze you and then make you warm again. And it's going to do terrible things to your insides. And we're going to take that map. So, Adastra up.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that in particular was down to the fact that Teemo was able to do so much more, not just scouting, but able to act on the scouting in a way that Jaru wasn't able to. Yes, Jaru has the raw pick potential on the Roadhog, but it turns out that that wasn't enough. Interrupting the entire movement is such a big brain play from Teemo. I can't think of a time I've ever seen anybody actually pick up that particular strategy to interrupt that sim TP. Variations on it, yes, but the roll through with the Wrecking Ball, I thought was a great adaptation.
And his positioning there, right? I mean, he was literally, they walked an inch past the guy, and they didn't see him. This giant rolling mechanical ball of squeaky fluffiness or whatever, and they just, right, yeah, we'll go set up. We didn't spot anything out of the ordinary. Oh god, there's suddenly a giant rolling hamster ball on top of us. This entire plan is ruined. That was huge. So good on him for shimmying just the right way in cover and staying out of sight and doing what he needs to do. Covert ops here coming through for Adastra when you wouldn't necessarily expect them to.
Well, that does put us at match point for this series, with Adastra only needing one more map to take this series. And we have also just had word that we've got another substitution, with Task coming back in favor of Jaru for our next map in the series.
I guess Jaru was just kind of a niche pick for Hanamura, hoping for a little more flexibility, hoping perhaps for the Reinhardt strategy and the Roadhog strategy to give them a little more oomph. And, you know, maybe not so. But Task has been... I won't use the taking them to task joke again. Task has been just doing
been
very...
3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, I know. It's,
I've been keeping track.
you know, there's something to be said for oversaturating a joke, the T-Mobile MVP situation. Yeah. But I am no golden boy. I am just a mortal man, so I won't. Task has been doing very well, though, especially on that Wrecking Ball. Just proving to be a match, definitely, for Teemo throughout those first 2 maps, I would say. And probably what they need, given the popularity of Wrecking Ball in this meta, on this map, in this series, with this at stake. Because it's match point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can no longer really afford to take risks here. And I don't want to put myself in the position where I'm saying subbing in Jaru is a risk, because I've been watching the guy play for years now, and he's not a risk. But the meta is moving in a very specific direction here. And it looks like, certainly for this period of November trials, we've got to have the Wrecking Ball in play. So yeah, if you want these wins, if you want to make it back up into Contenders, sub in your Wrecking Ball, let them cause havoc.
Go for that flavor of the month, man. You might dislike how solid a meta can get in these high-level games, how quickly it can crystallize into, this is the comp you run. These are the 6 heroes that you want. There's not much variance here, but there is a little. There has been a little throughout the day and throughout the week, I would say. But at the end of the day, if you want to win, you got to run what's best. You got to figure out the comp that brings you success and focus on it. Get as good as you can and use it as much as you can. So I think a decent move here for Caspian. Their 1 map win so far was with Task and not with Jaru, unfortunately. I love the guy. But we are at a pause. It looks like a DPS player has disconnected, and we're going to get them back in here.
I think one of the things that we've not really considered here yet, Fibble, is that we don't have a nice, snappy name for this composition yet. And as this is a November Trials composition, I feel like the Trials casting community has the opportunity here to really give us some insight on what you might want to call this. So if you're in chat and you're thinking, oh, actually no, this comp is called this, or you've got some suggestions, let us know, because I'm running on empty, frankly.
So it's November.
Okay.
Thanksgiving soon.
Is it?
Wrecking Ball is involved. Oh, that's true, actually. My K-Kona self over here. Thanksgiving is nearby for me, I suppose, whether or not that matters to any of you. That remains to be seen.
We're not holding it against you.
For sure, yeah. Despite the history of the holiday, folks, learn your holiday history. It's very important. I would say we could call this a butterball composition, much like a butterball turkey. That's kind of my take on it. Not to say that that's actually any good. It's just kind of an option I threw out. Given perhaps the Soldier Tracer. Let's see, Soldier Tracer, Wrecking Ball Sigma, and then what? Like Zen Brig?
There's something about balls. There's something about balls now. I'm just not quite sure what it is.
Yeah. We got to be careful with that. But we are back in game. Braven is back, running back on that Tracer. We got 15 or so seconds before the map starts. No problem for him to Oh, well, they're attacking anyways. He doesn't even have to rush back to the point or anything. Kukubao hanging out here on this nice fly-through. Sile on the Echo. I'm a fan of this. We've seen it plenty. I like the high ground control. It offers the airborne control, but he has his work cut out for him with Ido on the soldier here. Gotta watch your angles, gotta play safe.
Luckily, that nice handy clock tower in the middle of the map here is perfect for doing just that. It gives you all the angle control in the world here. And Skyle struggling to land shots here as we see Caspian maintain their position up in the computer repair shop. I think possibly waiting for a regroup here and for some cooldowns to come back, but a lot of spam coming in that entry area.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of Echo's specialty right now. It's just raining down fire, hit or not, and you have to worry about it. Just like you have to worry about Kukubao on the Tracer, because he has been playing pretty well. Avoiding that Brigida, getting in and out where he needs to, winning these flanking 1v1s quite a bit. Filling those shoes, like you mentioned, pretty well, doing his job.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job of it, frankly. And, you know, 83% of the way to the pulse bomb with just over a minute lost off the clock is pretty good value here. This, well, okay, that's unfortunate. It's the curse of walking directly in front of the Zen here, and happening twice in a row, in fact. Mayday and Make Believe making their names known here. So that probably favors the offense here in terms of getting back from spawn, but I suspect we're not going to see this evolve into a full-on point cap team fight just yet. Caspian sneak one through, IDO finds a pick, Kukubao throws in the pulse bomb and takes Ido out of it here as well, and this is just an incredibly tradey fight here, Bill. This is really hard to call, frankly.
It's super back and forth, but like you said, the back and forth almost favors the offense here because of the spawns and because of the point presence they can establish with the Reckoning. They almost have 2 ticks, and I think they're going to leave it where it's at right now at the 61.8%, but having that much percentage on the line is pretty good, and they're actually racking up towards the second. There it goes. So progress here that is being incremented slowly but surely, and Sile now on the Wrecking Ball trying to make something happen.
Well, Oda needs a couple more runs through, has to pop the adaptive shield, and might not get the minefield here. Certainly bought some survivability for all it was only a few seconds worth, but would have really liked that minefield on that one. Full spawn with the stick, not going to connect on anything there. Weakness too much HP to make that work. Teemo was able to find weak, and that will be Adastra per Aspera, mounting the defense here, but they've already lost 2/3 of the point field.
Right, I mean, it's a defense with an asterisk for sure, because now you have to hold just that 1 point. You gave up the first 2, certainly not for free. You made them pay for it. It took some time. There's almost a minute left on the clock at this point, but that's where you're at. Lots of ultimates coming online for Adastra, but Caspian are going to do the best with what they have, starting with this rally, hoping to get some value out of the visor and using that Transcendence to counter anything else that comes out from Adastra.
Well, second rally comes out. Ozzy actually pops that at quite low HP there. Transcendence comes out from Make Believe to help IDO weather the storm here and get some value out of this tactical visor. Mayday uses theirs as well, and Starboy and Weak are both going to go down here. Raven gets a clap back on this one, as does Tass. The pulse bomb comes through, and it won't connect. In the meantime, though, Kukubao finds Ido, and Astra per Aspera, whilst they have given over another 10% point control here, are still in control for the final 40 seconds.
Right, Ido swapping now to the Echo, hoping to match Skyle in the air, just to provide a little airborne pressure that someone has to deal with, much like Adastra have been doing so far, but he's so behind in ultimates because of this swap, and there's 20 seconds left. Not much time to build up that duplication. He has to hope that the neutral fight is going to be enough.
There's already a lot of damage coming through. Ido is able to find Mayday here, though, which is a big deal, because all of that damage, all of the boost that comes from having that over Discord is now off the table. And that is it. The fight just dissolves, and Caspian get their turn at rolling this through streets.
Like I said, it was all about that neutral fight, and Ido getting that opening pick was all they needed to force everyone back. Force Teemo away with half health. Not much you can do to contest when you're just that big walking ball of ult charge here. So now Caspian setting up forward on their attack and hoping to meet Adastra. But the minefield coming out here says, okay, we'll fight right here, sure.
Team was able to get a roll through, but won't actually knock anybody up into the mines, which is what they were really looking for on that narrow enclosed space. Skyle takes a risk here and picks up the Sigma. Connects the rock, needs a couple more of those hyperspheres to connect, and that will be the Flux ready to go, but too much focus coming their way as Starboy knocks them out of the duplicate here. Caspian momentarily with a numbers advantage, and now definitively with a numbers advantage in their favor. It's a flux from Hazox, but he's very much, well, if not on his own, at least down in numbers from the rest of his team. Might want that one back for a more advantageous team fight.
Right, and Sile now swapping onto the Soldier, not getting much value out of both of his duplicates as the Transcendence comes out from Mayday and the Pulse Bomb comes out from Kukabao. Neither, I think, really doing much, but at least keeping this fight going as Mayday breaks out of the Transcendence and says, you know what, I'm a little more effective here. Let me take your head off. Weak is now out of the fight.
This is Chaos Dibble. This has been a solid minute and a half now of effectively team deathmatch. Nobody really winning out, although as I say it, Caspian able to get a couple on the board. IDO with the focusing beam takes Skyle out of the fight now as well, and suddenly advantage back in favor of Caspian. They're not even in a position where they've got to rush doors to stop the recontest coming through. They're pretty content they've done the damage here as we approach the castle.
Right, and like I kind of predicted, these sometimes get into a bit of a clown fiesta, but the objective was moving the whole time. Good on Caspian to at least have someone on the point. The whole time that whole team deathmatch, wacky tiny Overwatch shenanigan was going on the side. That is what gave them that advantage and eventually got them that easy last fight with no chance for a recontest. 2 minutes now in this last phase. Not the most, but certainly more than perhaps some other offenses have fielded here so far. And they have a couple ultimates to work with too.
Task with a wide sweep through with a nice wide spread of the minefield, buys a little bit of free cart push here, although Ido gets in the way of Mayday one more time here. Braven into the back with a pulse bomb, finds Mayday, and now it's a big advantage for Caspian, who will keep make-believe alive in this fight with the Transcendence ready to go. Pops it for a little bit of surety, a little bit of certainty at the back end of the fight. Starboy takes Hazox down, doesn't have the rally, but has that permanent healing aura up the entire time. But Skyle makes a swap over onto the McCree and finds Weak. And despite it looking good for Caspian to close these final few meters on the point, Adastra Aspera currently have a minute to catch their breath and regroup.
Right, and stalling this out, even with Skyle going down there, I mean, this is taking a lot of time off the clock. And when you look at this, even if Caspian cap, much like in our last game, there's the opportunity to go into extra rounds and gain a time bank advantage on the attack for Adastra. So they're okay with this. They're okay burning as much time as possible, having these little 1v1s off on the side, denying pulse bombs like that. This is not bad for Adastra here.
No, this has been pretty good when it comes to how they roll they were on streets. Guy with the high noon, looking for as many of those little skull marks as they can, but waits a little bit too long, and Weak backs their way away from the surety of that kill from McCree. At the very least, it has allowed Astra Aspera to swarm back over towards the point and start this hold out as they mean to go on in the final 13 seconds of the fight. Oz is able to find Task here, and Timo able to tag back onto the point and start to roll on through, and Astra Aspera have the kills in their favor. 3 seconds left to go on the clock, and little to no chance of a recon test here from Caspian, which means we are only going to get one more round through. Eichenwalde, no draw here on this map.
Nope. Blessedly so, perhaps. I'm getting hungry. But this was... Adastra took control there in that last phase. Caspian did a great job on streets, keeping the cart going, just distracting with these wacky fights, flailing their arms about massively like they're in Team America or something. And that kind of didn't work for that last phase. You can't really go for the chaotic fights or just drive by minefields or anything weird like that. The geometry and the positioning of fights on that phase do not allow for it. And Adastra really do their best when they're given the chance to set up. They have that core, they have that synergy. Caspian do well in individual mechanical fights, going for the 1v1s and things like that. But as we mentioned right at the top of this entire game, that's the difference in these teams. Caspian will go for the chaos and thrive there, where Adastra will go for the set plays, the strategies, the synergies that they have developed during their time as a core roster together. Now they have a chance to bring this back, finish the series. There's a win condition in sight, 61.46 meters. That's all they need, and this game is over.
Looks like we're not going to be seeing too much differentiation here from what we've seen from Adastra and Caspian previously. Certainly for the past couple of rounds, it seems to have been IDO and Skyle swapping back and forth between the Soldier and the Echo, which is a kind of a weird hero pool when you think about it, but both of these players making this work very well, I feel. So for now, Adastra Aspera just going to stage at the point and look to make a rotation, I think, up into the computer repair shop. Skyle leaps forward, with about following in their footsteps, such as they are with a flying character. And team are making a rotation on the low ground now. They're looking to surround and devour here, I think, from Adastra Aspera. Set it up with a nice big power driver, find the follow-up damage with the stickies and the focusing beam. No follow-through just yet, but Kukabao starting the swarm here, starting the surround. And it's a 1-for-1 trade. Mayday trading out here for Task, and Kukabao forced to use the recall early. Azok's playing from quite a range here, spamming in, and not in a position really to capitalize on some of the space that was gained. Kukabao down, and Adastra Aspera retreat for now.
And Caspian actually coming out, not just in terms of picks and trades there, but in terms of engagements, they were much smarter, I think, when they got that kill on the Kukabao to step forward. Whereas when Adastra had evened things up or were even a man up, they kind of hesitated to figure out how they wanted to set up their attack. And that extra time is all Caspian needed. So they need to move a little quicker if they really want to catch Caspian off guard, because these defensive positions for them are obviously going to favor them, given the geometry of this play.
Look for Kukabao to stick this pulse bomb somewhere fairly sharpish. Doesn't need it for Starboy. And now it's the 5v6 with Astra Aspera still making their push onto the point. It's a big stick, and Skyle's able to find weak on the back of all that damage. And it's looking like a quick cap here for Adastra Aspera as we move into the street space. Just one pesky rolling rodent to rid yourselves of, and there's the cap coming through.
And there's that decisiveness that I just called for, right? Them walking up, going on the quick flank for Kukabao, catching the Brigida unawares and low on health, communicated very well between that team, and then immediately stepping right past the shield, knowing the kinetic grasp was down, getting the stick, the finish from Skyle, and off they go. They're off to the races here. They also have 4 ultimates online with a Flux not far behind, whereas Caspian are also coming online with about all 6. So this one could be a bit of a light show. Some cues to be pressed here for sure. Oh, the fake. Oh, I like that.
That was actually really cool. That was really cool from Aussie, who, like, I think predicted that coming in and just matched the position of Braven there permanently with the shield, so they couldn't get the force bomb in and has forced to recall. Task is going to find Kukabao to start things out here, but the payload is still slowly moving its way forward. Task didn't find the initiation with the power driver they're looking for, instead hitting that flanking, running around the outside of the castle for now. Timo is able to find 2 with the minefield. Make Believe and Task taken down and weak, very weak, 30 HP and down into the pit, care of Aussie. And Skyle has picked up the duplicate here onto the soldier, deals with Braven. If you're Caspian here, though, you will get another go at contesting, which Adastra Aspera did not get on Caspian's run through.
Right, and really importantly as well, Adastra using a couple ultimates here, just a couple, and Caspian not using much, just that Flux. They have everything else to work with. This could be a solid contest for them, and it's going to be their best shot.
Oh, Braven still hunting for somewhere to stick this pulse bomb. Keeps finding nothing but shields, knows that he can't afford to waste that on not getting a pick. Ido backs away to use this tactical visor and won't find too much with it, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Kukabao now giving their lives over and weak down, but Adastra Aspera, care of Skyle, able to find Make Believe here, and Skyle goes into the back to deal with IDO, who taken the widest of flank positions over onto the bridge, and it's a 2v2. Tracer and Wrecking Ball versus Echo and Wrecking Ball. Incredibly quick, incredibly hard to kill characters, and slowly but surely Adastra Aspera are starting to win this one out here, but Caspian punch back with a 1-8-2, 8-3 punch, and Kukabao down to the melee punch of weak, and the hold mounted for Caspian.
And Task got 3 kills before we kind of turned towards the cart, before the camera turned over there off screen. Task got 3 kills in that fight. Cleaned up for sure, helped out by a lot of his team, but also just being that presence on point. Composition name, by the way, it just struck me, Newton's Cradle. Carry on. Ooh, interesting fight here.
Not terrible. Not terrible. I'll take that under advisement. Hazok with an eat there. Braven finally giving the pulse bomb, and, well, better luck next time, my friend. Could have had a couple more in that time. There's the D-Mech already onto weak. And Starboy swinging away, almost looking like they're Sombra checking, unless they know something I don't about what's currently on the field. Not quite sure what that's all about. Caspian now retreating onto the lower ground, ready to defend at the payload here, but very careful, very considerate positioning here. And this is pretty bad for Timo, gets caught out and has to retreat. We'll see one from Kugabauer. Skyle picks up the duplicate onto the Wrecking Ball. A lot of survivability, needs a little bit more. One more dink and the minefield will be there to play with. And that's going to be where the cap comes in. And we get to see one final phase on Eichenwalde.
Double Wrecking Ball just before the second checkpoint sounds like a nightmare. The displacement offer, they're the double boop, one from each of them. That's scary. I know the Halloween Terror event is over, but that should be a thing, because that's spooky stuff right there. Braven, again, is just looking for some pulse bomb stuff, always on the flank, always looking for these 1v1s against whoever. Getting some
deep. That's it. Ido comes in with a tactical visor, finds kinetic grasp, finds shield fight. Not a huge much more, but Braven's able to get in and do some of the lifting on the back end of that one and deals with Kukubao. We get the Transcendence out early from Maiden. It felt late out from early, actually, having already lost Orti and Kukubao here. A bit of a weird fight taken here by Adastra Aspera, and Caspian likely to come up with the defense.
Yep, coming online with the defense pretty well, establishing themselves with less than 2 minutes, assuming Task doesn't... Nope, okay, that was a bit of an overextension.
I guess you could say he was taken to task, though. Oh, wait, no, we've done that.
Stop it. Only that's my line. I do that. You're the one who's supposed to be frustrated with me about it. Now it's all off. I can't do that. I gotta... Hang on, I'll be right back.
All right, well, it looks like Thibble's left, and it's just me, so apologies for that, guys.
I had to take a breath. I'm sorry.
Fair.
Can't do this to me, man. Adastra coming online with 2 ultimates close to the visor as well. Ahead on the Transcendence, which will come into play probably in the last seconds of this game. But Teemo looking, he's got to get the engage here. Adastra have to do something. But he's so softened up with that Discord orb.
Yeah, really hard to make that engagement when there's just so... It doesn't even really have to be very focused. It's just fighting the damage in, and very difficult to make that initiation. Caspian able to mount another defense here, and we're now down at 44 seconds, Dibble. And whilst Adastra Aspera will have some ults to play with, we saw how difficult it was for Teemo to find anything to do with those minefields.
Right, the Discord is too much. The choke point here with these DPS and this sort of support line as well keeps you from really just busting through and doing what you want to do. It's designed to stop you. And with 20 seconds left, they're doing a great job of that. That said, tons of ultimates on both sides. It's going to be a huge light show, but look at Mayday and how far ahead on the Transcendence they are. That is going to be the turning point potentially for Adastra, but they must make it work now.
Oh no, that's too cruel. The flux comes in, the mines land underneath them like the proverbial bed of nails, and Caspian starting to pick apart what's left of Adastra Aspera, minefields and all. Azox with the flux will find make-believe here. Teemo is able to find weak. And we may just see a little bit more life left in Adastra Aspera here. Not a lot of players left on the point, though, and Hazox is going to go down. Teemo down too. And there's only so much even a Lucio can do to keep this alive and well. Skyle with the tag back on, and Caspian don't even care that he's there. Shakes of the heads all round, and Caspian ties all up in the series. We're going to see one more round of control.
Did we not call potentially the map 5? Did we not call that this would be a long day? Some close matchups here against 2 teams that really are fighting hard, coming back at each other, haymakers all the time, huge flanks, huge plays, huge strategy from both teams. I think figuring out the meta composition. I'm going to call it the Newton's Cradle, so I make it stick.
Okay. Good luck.
Coming in with this Newton's Cradle composition, but also not afraid to kind of go for some wrinkles here and there, and really making that work for both of them. Map dependent, stage dependent. It's so close. And looking at control, nice and chaotic here for map 5.
Yeah. Wouldn't have it end any other way. A full 10 map day of Contenders Trials EMEA. What better could you ask for on a Thursday evening?
Right. Well, actually, Critical Role's on in about 5 hours. That's a big personal one for me. But, if that's not your cup of tea and you are here for Overwatch instead of my obscure nerddom, then yeah, 10 maps of Overwatch is about the best you can get these days. We're all missing the Overwatch League. The Gauntlet was just announced. We're all hyped up for that and everything. But in the meantime, you got me and Phil, and you got 10 maps of some amazing Overwatch. Getting in now to Oasis for our map 10. our map 5 for this series, so I don't confuse anybody. This is not a 10-map series. Good lord. Could you imagine? That would put you to bed back at your normal NA time, and for me, well, I just wouldn't eat anything today. That's just how that would go. So,
You know, I mean, I'm looking at this table, and I've got to be honest. If you can't tell from the grey of my beard, I am an old man, and it's gone 10, so it's getting pretty close to my bedtime here. So, I'm glad there isn't a way to draw control. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that would be fun. Let's change that in Overwatch 2. There's no map you cannot draw.
Do you know what?
Come on.
I take it back. I did see on Twitter yesterday, I think, somebody sharing the results from a match where it was 1-1 on Ilios, and it was marked as a draw because someone had left in the third point and the game was cancelled, or enough people had left for the game to cancel, or the server remade or something. It's like, yeah, 1-1 on Ilios.
I dislike that very much. That is a cursed image that I do not want in my brain. Let's not have that happen here. I'm pretty sure the rules wouldn't allow it, but
no, we'd remake this one. You know, I think if we lost that one, we would go to a proverbial map 6 if map 5 fell over. I think I'd have to check.
It would, yeah,
I'm not a rules guy.
Technically be the 6th map, but also we would probably just do Oasis again or something.
Yeah. We'll keep doing Oasis until we get it right, though.
Yeah. Go back and do it again. And if it's not right, then you'll do it again. I don't want to entertain such a terrifying notion. Frankly, I'd like to get out of here and eat something. So we are back in game now, looking over these deadly cars. Did you know? I'll give you a fun Thibble fact as we get into Oasis. I have been hit by a car 4 times.
The same car?
Yeah. God,
4
no.
times
I
in
would have
quick
killed
succession?
No.
4 times on one day?
No. This was spread out over about 5 years. I got hit on my last day of high school. That one was probably the worst. After that, I was hit by a truck on my bike. Wasn't too bad. It was a bit of a skid, just a bit of a close contact. And then I was hit on the way to school and then on the way to work. But this, again, was over a very long period of time, and that's your Thibble fun fact for the day as we get here onto City Center. Some Reaper Sombra from Adastra. I like this. Very different compositions here.
Yeah, we have seen some variations. The fact that you and me saw the effective dive variation of this with the Winston and the Diva run by Last Hour almost exclusively in NA recently. I think it's a thing that has a lot of potential here in the more ground-based brawl style. Let's see how this works out when our teams decide they want to actually take this engagement. Let's see, Skyle making the rotation, finds a big meaty Wrecking Ball hitbox, does a lot of damage before Task has to get out of the way of that one, and now Aspera start to surge forward, but it will be Teemo that's down. First, Kukabao forced to translocate out and get back into a position to re-enter this fight. Hazox is going to lose the mech as well here, so whilst it looks like it might have been an early win here for Adastra, Aspera, Caspian dig deep. They're not going to give up. They are going to keep this fight going on. But neither team refusing to die here. It is trade after trade after trade. And Teemo is now back in on the Winston. And this is exactly what we're expecting from our experience of watching Last Hour play. And suddenly it comes alive as Teemo cleaves through 2 and secures the cap for Adastra.
We did see this in our last game, our New Kings SMC game as well, especially on Eichenwalde. The swap over to the Winston gives you a little more point presence, a little more consistent cleave damage at the cost of less disruption. So at Astra, going for that setup on the point style. You must come to us. You must fight this ball of death. This death ball, as we often call it in Overwatch. Yeah, you can keep that one for free. But Kukabao coming on with the EMP, actually phase, unless, of course, Task takes him to task.
Yeah, that was a big initiation there with the power driver. Nice squish onto Mayday. Ido with the visor deals with Aussie. And it looks like Caspian looking good for a flip here. One last little bit of percentage gain there by Hazox, but the flip at roughly the halfway mark. Ooh, Kukabao.
Right, and
Kukabao's in trouble.
For catching that flip because it was a little expensive using 3 ultimates, though they have 3 coming online, and 3 very impactful ones at that. The Transcendence is going to do great if Make Believe can stay alive and avoid the EMP. That is the 1v1 you need to keep an eye on. Kukabao is going to be looking for Make Believe. That is the juiciest target he could ever get. But Make Believe is going to do his best to avoid that, pop the Transcendence before the EMP goes live, and save his team. There it goes.
Oh, just the pressure of the EMP forces out the Transcendence from Make-Believe. That is the best possible situation to be in as the Sombra, to not have to worry about your EMP being countered. And they've already found one pick, but it's going to be tank for tank here. Self-destruct buys a small amount of space, a small amount of time, and Aussie is on the hunt for Braven. But Braven, a little bit too slippery, a little bit too quick, gives them the slip, and Adastra, Aspera, get in and give them the 1-2 punch with the Coalescence and the Pulse Bomb. Starboy down, and it's up now to Task to manage the stall, but it's hard to spin when all of your controls have been overtaken by a hacker.
Right, and Ido swapping over to the Echo now, hoping to put a little more pressure and avoid the Sombra. That EMP fake out was so good. That's always the ideal situation for a Sombra, but it's so hard because these Zens are so good under pressure. But he was there long enough, and there was enough chaos in that fight for Make-Believe not to be able to tell if the EMP was coming through or not. And he made the right play, but at Astra were just one step ahead. Now pushing forward in percentage, a little behind in ultimates, though overall, let's see if Caspian can take advantage of that.
Ooh, great start. Task hacked and not able to really initialize the fight the way they wanted to, and in the meantime Sky was able to take Ido out of the fight. Task is still ready to start this initiation should they come back into their full potential shortly, and instead gets the run through and again gets hacked. It is such a miserable existence trying to play a Wrecking Ball into a Sombra. That was a heck of a jump up onto the high ground to take that Pulse Bomb out of the line of fire of the rest of their team from Hazok's. Great presence of mind on that one. Minefield comes out here, but I think it's probably not going to be enough to stem the tide. At 99.54, it is just going to be Braven trying to keep this alive, tagging on and off the point to buy some time for somebody else to get in. It's the Zumiata to keep this fight going just that little bit longer, and a sound barrier from Aussie to combat that extra sustainability. Sky with one final Pulse Bomb from the round won't find anything with it. And now Adastra Aspera, because of that stall, have to deal with Starboy's armor. They have to start finding kills through that or wait for it to dissolve. It's finally down. It's finally off the table. But it does mean that Caspian are now back in the fight in a much more stronger, in a much more meaningful way. They might be able to keep this going. Self-destruct out from Weak, who was demeched, and Hazok's demeched here as well, but Starboy is able to find Hazok's before they can get back into the mech. Braven finds Aussie here as well, and Caspian have dug deep, they found the reserves, and they're looking to get the flip here as Skyle goes down.
What a fight, what a brawl, what mental fortitude from Caspian to keep it under control, barely touch back on that point before that round ended, and come back online, Make-Believe with the Transcendence now 60% of the way back because of the length of that fight. And Kukabao probably honestly going for just like an EMP, like the round is over, I'll just EMP, but actually didn't necessarily get a lot of value out of that. The manual hacks are where Kukabao has kind of earned his salt. That said, he'll have one more chance. EMP coming online here in a key moment. If they get a good EMP, this round is as good as over, especially with that hit.
That's a 5v6, always difficult to come back from unless you can push particularly quickly. Big old EMP, 5 caught within it, and the rest of Adastra Aspera close the distance, whittle the HP bars down to 0, and look to retake the point here. Task down, he did get that minefield off, but it's not going to be enough here. We do have Braven ready to tag back onto the point and keep this going, but everybody, the second he tags on, will be looking directly at him. Tags back in again, and we're getting time for Starboy to come back in with another rally here. This is how this round out for Caspian in the previous round. They've got to hope for an Astra Aspera that there is enough focus fire to deal with Starboy and to stop the recontest coming through. Make-Believe now with the Transcendence here as well, just to add a little more spice into the mix and keep everybody in this that little bit longer. Task is going to go down, and it's now down to Timo to play bouncer, to swing the arm, to knock them off the point, and to finally secure this for Adastra Aspera. IDO is able to find one with the tactical visor, but Timo able to find Starboy here and keep this going. Braven gets Aussie, and Adastra Aspera have the numbers on the point as the D-Mech comes through onto Weak, and Braven goes down as the baby Diva is taken out. It's the Wrecking Ball with a tag back in from Make-Believe on the Lucio. They do not want to let this go through. They want this match to go on forever and a day, and Make-Believe is still keeping this alive. The overtime ticks down, and Starboy just not quite quick enough.
Oh my god. First off, get yourself some water while I break all that down, because that was a hot mess of a match, or of a fight, I should say. Just that last couple, frankly, were all just crazy. So back and forth. just so much stall potential for Caspian, kind of starting to fade out towards the very end of that round. But that whole time, they were more than ready to bring that back, layering their ultimates as best they could, recovering even from Kukubao's EMPs that were getting a lot of value. That last one especially did, I said it, if he gets a good EMP, this round is good as over. But even after that, they managed to pull it back and fight it out because their positioning was good, because they tagged onto the point effectively and stalled it out and spread the load in such a way that they could make it work as long as possible. Ultimately, still not enough. They get another chance here on Gardens, but it's fantastically close. Great effort from both teams. This is the kind of Overwatch we live for. Now, the Rhine Diva coming online here for Adastra, looking for some decisive brawly engages against the disruption, of Task.
Well, Raven took a bit of a dink on the way through on that one, but I like the angle here, getting in and trying to assassinate a support as they make the rotation through the side doors. And, well, unfortunately, Task, I'm afraid, my friend, this is going to be kind of part of the course here, running into a Sombra Reaper, hack the Wrecking Ball, chunk the Wrecking Ball down, win the fight to guarantee the 5v6. Seeing Weak take the coward's way out there, jumping over the side to avoid handing over too much more ult charge, I believe. And, well, Skyle's taking Ido out of the fight. It's another hack onto Task. And look how much ult charge Skyle has been able to get just on the back of killing Task, frankly.
Yeah, seriously. Him and Kukubao both, and even the supports as well. Like, such a fantastic job from Adastra in terms of they extended that fight, but they capped early. They had great ult generation, and I mean, I doubt they intentionally kind of stretched that fight out, but they made the most of what they had. Raven getting the stick onto Teemo, but ultimately not enough. Maybe enough to start initiating this fight, but not enough to get the pin.
Teemo already back up to full health, and the Coalescence coming out from Mayday will start to close the gap a little bit, but Ido pushes right back with the tactical visor and is able to find Mayday and able to find Aussie here as well. This has been great value in ultimate from Caspian. Ido really opened that fight wide open.
Right, I think Adastra expected Caspian to hold on to the tac visor, or maybe that they didn't have it yet. So Mayday engaging with that Coalescence, trying to be aggressive, trying to catch Caspian off guard and off rhythm, but that tac visor completely threw them off in turn. Said, no, you think you're ahead of us, but let me show you what's really going on. So great flip for Caspian, an early start for them, but Adastra coming online with a lot of ultimates here, especially this EMP. Again, let's see if he can catch out Zenyatta.
Oh no!
Oh
man, that was such good scouting coming out from Weak. And they're going for it, everybody. They're going to pull out the Death Blossom right into the Gravitic Flux with no EMP to back anybody up on that one. And it's an easy fight win for Caspian.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, Adastra hold on to the EMP. I mean, it is because Kukubao totally got caught out, totally got super greedy, going for the EMP to make sure it hit the Zen. He ran directly into Sigma's weird leg plate thingies, and suddenly everyone knew where he was, and boy howdy, he did not last long. So maybe try to be a little more careful on this next attempt. Maybe actually be sneaky. You do actually have to actually not be detected. So, you know, go for that again. You have the time, you have the percentage to do so, and you have the sound barrier here as well to give you that little extra beef once this fight starts to get sustained. So just calm down. Take a breath, Adastra. You still got this. You just have to be smart.
Manny will hack onto Ido, and Tila with the follow-through takes him out of the fight. Sound barrier from Aussie here as well. Just wants to buy the bulk to get through this fight. Hack interrupts the kinetic grasp, so no more damage absorption, no more additional shields for you. I'm afraid they're weak, and it's a dive into the back to deal with Make-Believe, and we're looking for the flip to come through as the chase is on to deal with Raven. But it's 90-54. Caspian just need this one fight to take us all the way to the third map of control in this series.
Right, but Adastra also in a commanding position with these ultimates. They've held on to this EMP for so long. Make-Believe, though, also hanging on to that Transcendence. They're both looking at each other. You know, we see each other. I see you, you see me. We know what's going on here. It's going to go down to all the other ultimates around them to try and catch one of them off guard and give the other an edge.
Kukubao momentarily forced out of the way from the EMP, not able to use that. And Starboy traded out for Teemo here. Beautiful stick out from Braven. EMP, Flux, self-destruct, and it's going to be Caspian that come up with the numbers on the back of the fight. It's gone to 99-90, but the way this fight's going on, Adastra do not have a lot of time to get back to the points.
Right, and Kukabao tried to EMP the Flux away, but Weak actually flew above the cover and avoided the EMP, which is a great play from him. Now it's 99 overtime ticking down. It's all Adastra can do to touch.
Idea is just going to play bodyguard here with the tactical visor. You want to come through a door? Well, guess what? I've got an aimbot waiting and ready for you. Skyle down. And Aspera swarm back onto the point and will find Task here. But Braven is about to close in on another pulse bomb. Sees where there's room to stick it in, won't find the tag onto the tanks. Actually, no, does secure the D-Mech onto Hazard. And Aussie comes back in now with the sound barrier, which hasn't got enough time for Hazard to get back into the mech, which means they are out of the fight. And it's a 5v6. They focus down Teemo. Braven's able to get the final kill on that one. And even as we see Kukabao tag back onto the point, as we see Aussie tag back onto the point, it's all for naught. And we go, Thibble, to one final round for the match.
Oh, this could not be closer. It's a game of inches all the way through. Kukabao was coming online 95% of that EMP. Could have potentially turned the fight. By then, they were already down a little bit, so maybe not. Maybe it's not enough. But Weak flying away from that EMP at the start of that fight was what won Caspian that round. Because Adastra commit those ultimates thinking they can get out of the Flux with the EMP, and it doesn't work, and then half the team dies to it. And then you're a man down, your ult's down, you're just trying to touch before the round ends. You're always on the back foot, and that round is over. Now, on City Center, it all comes down to this. The Symmetra Tracer coming through. Oh, Ido swaps onto the Soldier. It was just for the TP, excuse me. The Reaper Sombra here. And we get a pause at a very interesting frame.
Days.
Yeah.
That's a really, if that's a player DC, that's really, really unfortunate because nobody is going to give you the space to go back and come back as a 6. They're going to take that 5v6 fight just as they were meeting. Hopefully it's oh wait, I had a ping spike. I'm just going to wait that out.
Right, or a headset issue or something simple like that. At the very least, if it's a player DC, there's no ultimates to worry about. This is not your Zenyatta has Transcendence and DCs, and suddenly you don't have Transcendence anymore. We have seen that lose people entire series. So at the very least, we're getting back into it now. Okay, it looks like everyone's okay. Everyone's backing up. Braven now on the flank, just behind everybody here for Adastra as they set up on the high ground.
Well, this is a high ground position for Adastra, but they don't really have the long-range hit scan that you normally want to be playing the high ground from. So Caspian not trying to contest them here feels a little bit strange. I guess they're waiting for the point to unlock them. They can close the distance with speed boost from Aussie and really start the brawl. But Teemo already has the Orb of Discord on them already. So a lot of additional damage coming into a very big hitbox. And that was very quick from Caspian. Adastra went for the engage on the low ground, and they were just heavily punished for it.
I mean, it's definitely the Zenyatta difference there for sure. The increased focus fire potential of Caspian's composition completely nullifies the kind of get-in-your-face, big ball of hit points composition Adastra are going for. The one key difference is the Sombra. If Kukabao can start getting value and getting a pick on the flank perhaps, or just providing an opening for Adastra to gain that advantage, the burst from Caspian is suddenly less troubling. So you have to keep an eye on Kukabao, but also you have to keep an eye on these rotations and kites from Caspian to stay away, keep them at arm's length, and keep the damage flow.
Being pressured, but not maybe as heavily as you'd like to be dealing with a particularly pesky Tracer. Throws in the pulse bomb, but won't find Mayday as they back away using additional speed from the Coalescence. It's going to be down to Ido to try and change the tide of the fight here, because so far is Adastra with the kills in the kill feed on their side. Make Believe dashes in with the Transcenders just to keep Braven and the rest of the team alive. There's the charge connecting through onto Task. No longer has the adaptive shields and will be punished for his lack of them. IDO and Braven still alive and still causing trouble here. This is huge. We saw the sound barrier and the EMP coming out here. Weak floating through the air towards the point to get that group of Phoenix Plugs into position. And Caspian have lost control of the point. They've not lost control of the fight just yet. They still have the numbers to make this work. And Braven is holding on to the pulse bomb. There's the minefield out from Task as well, but Task is hacked away in the back line, but Braven lands another stick. His 100th of the day. Mayday's down, Teemo down, and Caspian look to be coming back in onto the point in numbers. IDO forced to duck onto his own healing pack, waiting for the healing rocks to come back. Finds it with the melee! Didn't need the rocket, and Skyle goes down. There's the rocket onto Aussie, and Caspian coming through with the flip.
Both of these teams are so desperate to win. You're so desperate to win, you make yourself look stupid, they're saying at each other. It's completely back and forth, super brawly, super scrappy, ultimates everywhere. Caspian coming online with the advantage, though. Kukabao, it's going to be on Kukabao to build up his EMP as quick as possible. But even so, both support ults from Caspian, both DPS ults, and the minefield not far behind. I mean, it's looking really good for these guys with 90% and climbing already.
Kukabao needs to find this final 18% of the ultimate hit for the EMP to really stand a chance of winning this one out. Teemo does throw in the shatter, but no kills on the back of it, and Kukabao is still a long way from having this EMP. It's at 99%, and Caspian just run over Adastra Aspera in the final few seconds of the fight, securing the series.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a closer match at the end of the day, except perhaps that round of University. It looked like Caspian got the download, were able to keep Adastra at arm's length the entire time. Ido just... That Ido versus Skyle on the Reaper, like 1v1, where he's just marching forward as fast as he can, and he's just like, yep, I've got your strafe pattern. I've got it. I'm not even tack visoring. I'm just going to take you out and hit you in the face. Like, beautiful stuff from Caspian, turning up at just the right moment, getting the download, and just playing like their lives depended on it, because really, it did.
Well, this is going to be the end of the competition portion of today's broadcast, but we do have one last little succulent treat for you. We've got an interview coming your way. That's going to be Jaru loading into the chat room in just a little while. We're going to throw it to a break while we get him ready and tell him what words he can and cannot say on air, and we'll be back with you in a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We are ready to go live with a little chat with Jaru from Caspian. Sorry, I had a momentary brain fart there on that one, but
It's been a long day. You know,
has been
I think we're allowed a brain fart here and there.
Yeah, and so in the long tradition of inviting the Reinhardt specialist onto the broadcast after the rest of their team win, we've got Jaru with us. Jaru, how are you feeling on the back of that win?
I mean, we're feeling all right. Like, it was a close game. They're not another bad team. I thought it would be like, I didn't think it would be that close, but yeah, they definitely improved from like when I last saw them play. So I'll give that to them. Definitely a strong team.
For sure. What went into, you came in at select times to pull out some select strats, right? What are kind of the plans centered around you and how you slot into the strategy of this team?
Okay, so I'm not really like a ball player, right? I play like every main tank to like a decent level apart from ball. So there are some maps where we just thought that like playing the brawl comp was like a lot stronger than playing like ball stuff, and there are some maps where like ball is just like not that good or just weak in general. So like I just try to like fill in the other heroes, right? So for example, on Hanamura second point, ball isn't really that strong, so that's why you saw me go onto the Arista there, which was like it's a lot easier to like take space and win off that. And Lijiang is just like a good brawl map on like almost all the points. So
very true.
So looking at who else you got to play against in trials over the next week, is there anybody you're particularly either looking forward to playing against or maybe a little nervous about playing against?
I guess you could say SMC.
Yeah.
They showed they like took New Kings to map 5, which was very surprising to I think everyone. Like we didn't realize that it would be that close. So I guess it just shows that SMC like is a strong team. Not just that, they also dropped from Contenders, so they're like more experienced than us.
So are you expecting to be able to challenge either New Kings or SMC to get back up into Contenders?
I mean, we already played New Kings yesterday and we lost 3-0. So I guess the team that we kind of have to beat for the spot is SMC, because I think we can beat like all the other teams, right? Vox and Haley and Avoided. But I think SMC is going to be like another challenging game.
Okay.
I like that confidence, though. Yeah, I definitely think you guys have a strong shot. Looking at the game you guys played today, I mean, it was so back and forth, but I think you guys have a great depth of strategy. Is it safe to assume that there are a few more tricks up your guys' sleeve that we haven't seen yet, or are we kind of seeing the gambit?
I think you've kind of like seen everything.
Interesting. Okay. Well, don't shout that out too loud. I'm sure a lot of people here are scouting, kind of keeping an eye on you guys.
I mean, they can scout all they want. Like, it's just not gonna help them.
I love that. Good.
I love having a confident interviewee back into the room. So thanks for that one. So I think it's been a long day from everybody here on broadcast, and obviously you've got a bit of playing under your belt, and we interrupted a ranked game, so we don't want to keep that from you for too much longer. Before we let you go, Jaru, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or a thank to?
Not really. Can't think of anything. Can't think of anyone. Yeah.
All good.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Jaru, and we look forward to seeing how you do over the rest of the November season of Trials.
All right. Thanks.
And from myself and Thibble, and in fact from everybody here at Monkey Bubble, that is going to be the end of today's broadcast for now. But don't worry, because we are not going to be long from your screens. We are back tomorrow and then again on Sunday. So if you've not had your fill of Overwatch Contenders Trials and of myself and Thibble, well, there's your opportunity to get that little bit more. Thibble, anything you'd like to leave the viewers with before we sign out?
I totally thought you were going to say if you haven't gotten your fill of Phil, which was going to be pretty clever, but you didn't, so that's points.
Nah, I'm not clever. I just shout good.
No, you're fine. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. These are fantastic games. I hope we get 20 more maps. Not really, but I mean, it'd be fun, but also kind of stressful. These are some great games. We have some great teams. This is going to be a great week of very evenly matched squads. This is not kind of the stomp fest sort of trials that we've seen in months past. This one's going to be good. So strap in and stick around. We'll be here.
Good night, everybody.